I just I just had soup. I just had soup and I realized that it didn't have any mushrooms in it, and that would have been such a good addition to the soup. It had a lot of celery, it had a lot of carrots, it had chicken. It was like chicken. It was a chicken noodle soup, but it tastes pretty good with some mushrooms in it, and this one didn't have it. And it was homemade soup, so I now know. Oh, Patterson should now know. Uh, Mushrooms next time. Usually when I make it, I like to put mushrooms in it. Although I usually do like a heartier soup, so it's usually spicier. I usually spicy mushroom soup, and he just made like classic chicken noodle soup. It was still good. It was still good. It was very good. Mushrooms suck. I like them in the right. I like them in the right like dishes. So in like a soup. I don't really eat mushrooms that often actually. Now that I think about it, I don't even know what kind of mushrooms are what. But they're pretty good in my soups when I make them. What else have I had than mushrooms? I don't. Just different types of soups. The chicken. The chicken. In front of my face. I guess I'll move over. I'll move over. While I'm at it, let me check myself in. I don't want to miss any of my own streams, you know? It's gonna be really embarrassing if other people have more streams than me. More cards. Well, I need to do... Okay, so if I don't... I'll try to catch it myself. But just so you know, if anyone misses anyone fills their sheet, and it should make a different sound, so I shouldn't miss it. I'm gonna make a note of that. Because I don't think it reflects it in the app or in the widget. I think I have to keep track of that myself. So as we go along, I'll make a spreadsheet so we can keep track of who's got the most. And then I'll make like a redeem that if you ask me, I'll check what your status is. We'll check the leaderboards. I'll have to do it like manually. I'll figure out a way to do it to make it look cool. Ooh, stir fry. Yeah, mushrooms and stir fry. That's one that I have it a lot in. Yes. See, I knew there was more foods I had. There's more foods that I had mushrooms in, but I think it's just like soups and stir fry. Stir fry type, noodly type things that I might get at like a Asian restaurant. You refuse to use that redeem? You don't want to check in? You don't want to keep track of your punch card? There's no reward in the end. The only reward is street cred, I guess. I want to adjust this mushroom that's on my earring. I want it to hide the better. Yeah, there we go. But we can't see the mushroom on my head. Let me make myself smaller. We fit here. Toxic mushroom Yuri, your traits of game is always perfect, right? When this game first came out, I wasn't 100% sure if I could play it on Twitch, so I didn't stream it right away. But I think it's fine enough. It's fine enough. I'll block the screen if anything. I don't think there's any pictures. I think stuff happens in text. And that's fine. That's fine. I'll just laugh. I'll just laugh through it, and it won't even be sexy anymore because I'll be laughing because I'm immature. But I don't think there's any explicit images or art, so we'll see. But I saw other people streaming it, so I think it's fine. Mushrooms and gravy. Huh, I've probably had mushrooms and gravy when I go to a restaurant, but not at home cooked gravy. Not because I don't like it. I just don't really. I don't remember if I've ever made gravy myself. I don't think I've actually cooked gravy myself. I know my mom makes gravy, but she doesn't like mushrooms, so she wouldn't have it in it. But I've probably gotten mushrooms and gravy, and that would be really good, actually. Some of the promotion, no, a little spicy is okay. It's when it gets to be full, like hentai is the problem. You be playing hentai girl puzzle games on Twitch sometime this month? Because Twitch allows it. Some Honey Pop? Is Honey Pop allowed or no? I don't know. I have it. It was free like last year for a day, so I got it. For the no, not Honey Pop. Type the name into Twitch if it fills out. You can. It's a good rule of thumb, but it's not an ironclad rule. There are exceptions. There are things that are exceptions. There are games that like don't meet their TOS, but it's not on their explicitly banned list. So sometimes if it's too indie, they don't know yet. Name one? I don't know. I just know it's a thing. I just don't know the actual specifics. Yes. No, there was one, but I can't remember his name that I knew was a good example of. Some of the Fall in Love Fest games didn't come up. Yeah. Some of them, I noticed that some of them. So I played Irie in the Window. When I played Irie in the Window, it didn't show up the other day, but now it has a category. Spell Candle had a category, but it didn't have a picture. Actually, a few of them didn't have pictures, but now they have a picture today. Too early for the demos. Yeah. Some games because I think it's like it kind of just like scrapes databases. They're not all. There are some that are manually added, but some of it's also just like automatically done. Unfortunately, Honey Pop's on their banned list. Darn. I thought it was. I was pretty sure it was. What a bummer. I think you can stream it on. I've seen people stream it on YouTube. Not that I would. I just got it because I saw a free game. You know, it's all about the plot. And the puzzles. It's all about the puzzles and the plot. Exactly. But Toxic Mushroom. Okay, wait. I put the link to the Steam. This shouldn't be too long. Well, if you're reading in your head, it says 2 to 4 hours. So it'll probably be like longer. I'll probably break this into 2 streams. Cause I'm slow at reading out loud? Yeah. Ooh, this game's also on sale. Nice. Alright. Where's this saved? Where is this game? Where do I want to go to play my game? This screen? Pyong Pyong. Hello, Mocha! Welcome, welcome! Good evening? Good evening! I know what time of day it is. I got home. I meant to get home. I was hoping I'd get home from work at like 8, but then I got home at exactly 9 o'clock, and then I had to rush and eat. So I'm still kind of transitioning out of work brain. I'm still trying to relax. I haven't quite had my time to truly relax. I sabotaged you. In what way? In what way? Because that sounds great. As long as you don't focus on it, on the nudity, it's allowed on YouTube. Yeah, you just got you can block the spots. You want to play the more explicit games? Twitch allows because Twitch is dumb. I think aside from certain games, it's like if you're, Cyberpunk, okay? Cyberpunk, whatever. It has sex scenes. It's fine as long as you don't get weird about it. There's other games that have sex scenes, but that's not. It's the only one I can think of because I remember Patty was playing it, and I went downstairs. And all of a sudden the characters started getting intimate in the car. The car that they were plugged into. I don't remember. I was just sitting there they were just getting shot 2 seconds ago. Why are they? Why couldn't they have parked somewhere more inconspicuous? What? You saw your stupid notification Toxic Curie in the house tonight, and now your brain's playing Party Rock Anthem, but it's Toxic Curie. Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. You are so welcome for that. If this is my legacy, so be it. Wow, I work out. That song's stuck in my head all the time. Let me check my... Okay, do I need to change any? We'll see with the music. We might adjust that as we play more. My problem, I kept having this yesterday. I keep moving... As I get into the game, I keep moving closer and closer to my mic. Because that's just closer and closer to the monitor. And then I get so close that my headphones start echoing into the mic. Did I have that in my mind when I wrote it? No, but now I'm gonna say that I did. I'm retroactively making that what I meant. Retroactively. Toxic Yuri in the house tonight. Ah, perfect. I was just saying it because it's cool. I'm gonna end up face against the screen. Oh my god! If I take my glasses off, that's where when I'm playing on my own without stream and I don't have to worry about reading stuff as much and singing properly, I just take my glasses off and I just vibe. That's why I like play games on my Steam Deck or on a handheld console, because I don't have to wear my glasses to see. Much more comfortable. Whereas here I actually have to read and it's a foot away. So it's like a whole foot and a half away, and it's I'm blind there. But when I get into it, I have to take my glasses off. All right, let's start this. Let's start this. Beautiful. You've been hyper-fixated on Hades 2 the last few days? Heck yeah! How far did you get through it yet? How much have you played through it? Ethel Briggs was trying to play the second movement of Mozart's Violin Sonata No. 21, but she wasn't having much luck. It's been months since she last picked up her violin, and the lack of practice has made her rusty. Hey, look, I got an achievement already. I love when I get achievements. Wait, yeah, it's achievements. Is it achievements? It's called achievements in Steam, right? Yeah. She had played this particular piece numerous times. Not for any competitions. She'd always been too shy to enter any, despite Miss Manderley's gentle coaxing, but for her own satisfaction. Mozart's Violin Sonata 21 was one of her favorites. What a specific lore detail to know the song! Is there any backstory in that specific one? Mozart? There's a lot of fun Mozart, facts and trivia out there. I'm looking at the wiki now. This piece was composed during the same period that Mozart's mother died. The sonata's mood reflects this. It's the only instrumental work by Mozart whose home key is E minor, and one of 3 violin sonatas that he wrote in a minor key. Okay. So it's his sad song. It's his sad song, composed in 1778. The Dead Mother Song. We're to year yet? Oh, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. I cannot wait. Ethel wasn't a huge Mozart aficionado. She didn't like how upbeat most of his pieces were, how frothy, flippant, and inoffensive. My favorite Mozart song is the is it Kiss My Ass? No, what is it? What is it called? What was it? Lick Me in the Arse. Yes, that one. That's my favorite Mozart song. Kiss My Ass. I guess Kiss My Ass still worked. My favorite Mozart song. She just hasn't studied enough Mozart, you know? She just needs to learn more about him as a man. On the whole, she thought that Mozart was far too cheerful. Ethel much preferred the quiet, understated melancholy of Beethoven or Chopin's clean, precise Chopin? Yeah, clean, precise compositions. I'm searching back. I'm like going back to my music history classes I took a long time ago. But there is something special about the Violin Sonata 21. Yes, the Dead Mother song. Oh, hey, wait a minute. This is this is what I didn't need to check the Wikipedia. This is one of Mozart's few sonatas in E minor, composed in Paris shortly after his mother's death. The first part was allegro, and it contained some of the familiar energy which was so distinctly Mozart, but the second was far more moving. The second movement of Mozart's Violin Sonata 21 had a special place in Ethel's heart. Maybe because this is one of the first violin pieces she had heard. Your favorite mozzarella song is Om Nom Nom Yum? Om Nom Yum? How do you feel about mozzarella sticks? Oh, you can't. I want to show the cursor on this one. Hold on. Where are you? Game properties. Show the cursor. I love it when the games have. I love it when the games have a custom cursor. It's a mushroom. It was this piece that had inspired her to take up the violin in the first place. Ethel had wanted to be able to play this melancholy piece with her own 2 hands, to bring its ethereal, haunting music into the world of her own volition. Lewd? It's fine. It's fine. It's just a mushroom. Oh, I just realized my game's getting cut off a little bit. There we go. For many years, Ethel had attended her violin lessons dutifully, and for a while, she had accomplished her goal. Cute interlude. She had performed this piece often enough that her muscle memory could make up for her lack of practice. But, though Ethel knew she had the notes mostly correct wasn't good enough. Wait, mushroom robe? Mushroom robe? Wait, hold on! I have been distracted. Hold on. I want to show you something cool. So, I'm going to Renaissance Fair. I think it was this one? Which one was it? Oh, hold on. I'm going to Renaissance Fair this weekend. And I bought myself a little outfit for it. But after I bought the one that I already got, I found this super cute one on Etsy, so I didn't buy it. But I wanted to show you guys because it's adorable. Mushroom hooded corset bodice thing. I just need someone else to look at it. I just need someone else to look at how cute this is. It's adorable. I'll get that one day. I'll get that one day, and then I'll be a cute, I don't know, mushroom witch. Not this time though. But one day. One day's my dream. All right, that was my one allowed distraction for the day. For now. That's a really long link. I probably could have cleaned that up, but whatever. Did it show the actual thing, or did it just show the search? Okay, it did show the actual thing. All right, back to our violining. My one distraction for this 1 minute. You love how it has the hood and lace on the edge? Right. It's so cute. Perfect for a nice little, like, mushroom witch or something. Ethel's right hand slipped, the bow scraping unpleasantly against the strings, and she winced. She had been at it for some 5 minutes, trying to recreate her past successes, but this was the final straw. What was the point in pursuing this any further? It wasn't as though she was performing for an audience. She was at home on her own, and this was a blessing. If her parents and her 2 younger brothers had been there, Ethel wouldn't have been able to play her once beloved violin at all. Dang it, I can't talk. They would have all told her to knock it off. Apart from Rowan, maybe. Who's Rowan? Rowan had always been kind. Or maybe he, unlike the other members of Ethel's family, was simply too self-conscious to say what he actually thought. Aww, not supportive? Maybe Rowan looked down on Ethel too, for her strange, lonely, old-fashioned hobbies. Ethel's family didn't really care for classical music. Her father, Jude, liked Iron Maiden, Dio, and Judas Priest, while her mother, Lauren, listened to anything that was trending on TikTok. Manny, meanwhile, listened to loud, shouty music, and Ethel didn't know what Rowan liked because he never told anyone. Rowan was very secretive about his interests, almost furtive. Love girls with strange, lonely, old-fashioned hobbies. Right? Those are the best girls, and it's totally not a red flag. It's fine. If her family had listened to classical music, however, Ethel knew they would have preferred Mozart to Beethoven and Chopin. My favorite is Debussy, yes. Or who's the other one that I really like? Well, I like Wagner's music, but as a person, he was a terrible person, so I wouldn't really like. You know, he's been dead a long time. The list is good though. Good stuff. Mozart seemed like exactly the sort of person Lauren would have enjoyed chatting with over a pint. Come to think of it, if the Mozart and Amadeus was all like the real man. Ethel sighed. Oh my god, I think it was Amadeus. Was it Amadeus? I think it was Amadeus. I watched Amadeus in school in my music history class, and my teacher, he thought he had the censored version of it. So he was watching it, and he's like, yeah, I got this one from the library. I don't have my usual copy, but this is the one that should be right. And then there's a scene where like a woman like takes off her top and stuff, and I have never seen a teacher move so fast to run to the TV, because he was so confident it was going to cut away at the last second, and he was just like, oh shit! So that's when I started boobs in class, and it was nice. Birdwatching Moop is biased, she doesn't count? What? Are you saying birdwatching's an old-fashioned, lonely, strange hobby? Can't tell a color flag with these mushrooms towards to my eyes. Maybe they're red mushrooms? It's fine, it's just because of the mushrooms. Ethel sighed. She was disappointed in herself. She'd been playing the violin for very long, but her jaw was aching and her fingers were already beginning to hurt, hadn't been playing. Gloomily, she set her violin down. She's so cute. Glumly, she looked at it, lying on her bed. Look at the big braids! I love the big braids! Her eyes softened in such a way that she looked rather like an abandoned puppy. Then, feeling rather sorry and sad for herself, she sniffed. She had loved that violin once, but her love had long since dwindled. Everything which had once brought Ethel joy had become gray and faded since Clementine had left her. Who's Clementine? What did her love for music matter now? Had it ever mattered? Ethel was already 21, and simultaneously she was only 21. A baby! She was in her final year of university. The adult world loomed before her, rather than welcoming her. However, Ethel found herself shrinking away from her future responsibilities. That was probably why she had dug out her old violin, to play through her favorite piece from her childhood. She had been trying to cling to the past. Oh, so she hasn't played it in a while, that's why. You gotta pick it up, you gotta practice it a little bit more. She simply didn't want to grow up. Ethel sat down on her bed, defeated, though she supposed it wasn't her bed anymore. It hadn't been for almost 3 years. You gonna watch WWE? I am an adult. Does John Cena even... Does John Cena wrestle still, or is he just do acting? He's getting... Well, let me take it back. I'm gonna say he's getting older, but like there's significantly older. Does the Undertaker still wrestle? Is he still in it? I used to watch a lot. I used to watch a lot of WWE back in like 2008. When Ethel was at university in Durham, Manny slept in what was once a room. When Ethel came back for the holidays, Manny and Rowan were forced to share a room, something they both resented. I know it's a tight squeeze, Jude always said, but try to bear with it. Ethel can't be expected to share with either of you. She's the oldest, and she's a young lady. She needs her space. Don't be so surly. Rowan was good-natured enough that he didn't complain about his sleeping arrangement too much. Not to Ethel's face, at least. But Manny was less so. Prestigious university? Wait. Oh, huh. Where's it at? Oh, in England? Oh. It's a real place. I just thought it was fake. Manny was only 13, and he hadn't learned how to be tactful yet. Whoa, 13! That's a big... 8 years between the kids? Ethel's younger brother had been in an awful mood all Christmas. A mood which Ethel knew was largely because of her unwanted presence. Oh. It'd been a relief when her family had left the day prior for Luton Airport. For the holiday they'd been looking forward to so much. Now that Manny was no longer skulking around, shooting her nasty glares whenever their paths crossed, Ethel felt like she could finally breathe. If he's like 13 and she's like, what'd she say, 21, but she's in her final year of college. So that means she's been away from home like almost 4 years. Yeah, he hasn't, I mean, when he was really younger, but in recent years, I guess he doesn't know his older sister too much, huh? The UK's fake? Agreed. Some small part of Ethel wished that she'd accompanied her family. She'd never been to Australia before, and she was curious about it. But another part of her thought she'd made the right move. She didn't want to keep subjecting Manny to her company. She also enjoyed having the house to herself. That meant she could play the violin without having to worry about the sound carrying. And it did carry in her parents' home, since the walls were so thin. Ethel had been looking forward to being on her own, but now that she was on her own, she couldn't even enjoy the newfound freedom. What was wrong with her? Ethel bit the inside of her cheek, weighing up her options. If she couldn't play her violin, she should at least give her thesis a go. Oh no, not the homework. The due date to hand the damn thing in was approaching. She only had 2 months left to work on it, but she'd not written a single line of it yet. How long is it? Can you get away with it doing, the day of? Maybe 2 days beforehand? She couldn't bring herself to it. Like the violin, Ethel had lost all interest in her thesis and in her degree. Ethel had used her thesis as an excuse to get out of going on holiday with her parents. She told them she needed to focus on her work, but she'd been doing precious little work all day and wasting an awful lot of time. I mean, like, if it's like an undergrad thing, it can't be like it probably isn't too big, right? I feel like she could, like, if she really locks in, you don't even need like maybe a day or two, you know? I don't know how long, like I had to do like I think I did like a 12-page thing the morning it was due. I still got an A on that. That one was pretty good. So she can lock in and do probably even more than that if she gave herself a full day. I gave myself like 5 hours. I hope that mushroom woman, the mushroom woman will come cheer her up. I agree. I wonder how the mushroom woman's gonna come in here. Is she gonna like grow out of her like her depression? As she bedrots, it'll turn into a beautiful mushroom lady. Ethel glanced at her violin, which lay discarded on her bed. Then she sighed for the umpteenth time that night. How had things come to this? What had happened to make her lose interest in everything which once delighted her, especially her beloved violin? Unwilling girls might have been coerced into playing instruments by their parents, but this hadn't been the case with Ethel. Ethel had been introduced to the world of classical music quite by chance, after discovering an old CD full of the stuff in jumble sale for 50 pence. In a jumble sale? What is a jumble sale? Is that like a yard sale? Is that British speak for yard sale? She'd been drawn to the old cracked CD because of the smiley lady on the cover, and she hadn't been too interested in the music itself. When she had listened to the CD, however, she experienced a revelation. The songs had spoken to her. She had been instantly drawn into the world of classical music, and it had all been thanks to Mozart's Violin Sonata No. 21. So she picked up the CD because of her gay awakening, and then she listened to it, and it also had a musical awakening. Ethel had known, after listening to that CD, that her life would never be the same again. Shortly after, she pleaded with her parents to take her to violin lessons so she could play just as well as that smiley lady with the pixie cut on the cover of the CD. Oh, the smiley lady with the pixie cut? Okay, I see her type. pay attention to Psych 1. You're a senior in college, you should know this by now. She didn't say what she's majoring in yet. Ethel had long since lost that life-altering CD. She'd lost many things that were important to her over the years. Oh no! But she could remember the cover clearly. The woman had been pretty despite her unconventional haircut, decidedly feminine in her blue wrap dress and her dangly earrings. She held her violin against the nook of her neck, and in her other hand she had wielded a bow. There'd been something commanding about the nameless woman in blue, despite how skinny she had been, how slender her arms and legs. To the young Ethel, she seemed less like a person and more a queen from a fairy tale, the garland of flowers on her head only adding to the illusion. Ethel hadn't necessarily wanted to play the violin for the sake of it. She just wanted to look like the nameless lady on the album's cover, a lady who, Ethel now realized, probably hadn't played any of the songs arranged on that CD. The woman on the cover had probably been a model, brought into a studio to pose with a violin that she couldn't play. That, or she'd been a stock image lifted from the internet. When Ethel had grown up enough to realize it, it sullied the mystique of the seminal CD, a little like how other children felt betrayed after learning Santa wasn't real. It'd been an eye-opening moment, but maybe it had been for the best. This revelation had lessened Ethel's pain at least, when the CD had gone missing a few years ago. In any case, Ethel's violin lessons had never quite lived up to her expectations. Ethel had kept up the violin, carried by her initial childish enthusiasm, but her enthusiasm had faded when she started secondary school, and she realized that she'd never be as smiley or as happy as the elfin woman on the CD cover. An elven woman too? Oh my god! Elven woman? Pixie cut. She had a beautiful blue dress. Well, I don't have a pixie cut, but still. Okay, I just need to pick up the violin for her. She'd never be that pretty either. You're so pretty, Ethel. You're so beautiful. No amount. Hey. I think you meant to put the emotes with the hearts. I think you meant to put the emotes with the hearts there instead of the vom, right? Right? You made a little mistake. The real Yuri is Moop X Ethel. Yeah, it is. Look at her. She's so pretty with her braids and her little bandana. Yeah. No amount of playing the violin could bring Ethel closer to an ideal image of perfection. Something which came all the more apparent when Shania and her gang had started to bully her. No! She's being bullied by Shania Twain! Ethel grew so disenchanted with the violin, she gave up on her lessons at the start of the year 11. Junior year? Yeah. She had needed to focus on her GCSEs anyway, and it hadn't helped that she had jammed her fingers during a netball game in PE. Hurt for a whole month to hold her bow. Jude never liked it when she played in the house. Anyway, especially when there was a big game on. Manny, meanwhile, it threw me off. I was like, Jude? I was like, oh yeah, that's the dad. Manny, meanwhile, had always said her scraping sounded unbearable. It's like nails on a chalkboard. Can't you pack it in? Manny used to say, and in the end, Ethel did just that. She packed the violin, but not for good. She continued to play here and there when her parents or brothers were out of the house and there was nobody to hear her. Sometimes, Ethel even took joy in her playing, but those moments had been few and far between. Once Ethel had played the violin dedicatedly, once a week at her teacher's Miss Mannerly. Only once a week? I feel like if you only play it once a week, or maybe the lesson was once a week, I don't know. I feel like you're supposed to play every day. Well, no, I take that back. If you want to be like a professional, I guess, every day you're supposed to practice. But like, if you're doing it for fun, as a hobby, play whenever. Now she played once a month, if that. And she did it furtively, as if a shameful secret. Ethel couldn't help but feel embarrassed as she played, as though she were performing an obscene act even more intimate than masturbation. Maybe playing the violin was masturbation in a sense, because it had only ever brought her pleasure. Hey, if you want to goon, go for it. Do your gooner music. Nobody else in her life had cared for enough to listen to her. Nobody except dear old Miss Manderly. She had been encouraging, but what had this brought Ethel? Ethel left her violin on the bed and approached the window, her footsteps muffled like a cat's quiet padding. Hold on, let me drink some water. It's quite the analogy, right? One doesn't usually think of classical music, classical violin, when they think of Gunnar music, but maybe it is. I feel like Mozart, to be totally honest, Mozart was probably a Gunnar. No, well, he's not a Gunnar, because he got women. And probably men. He was probably the anti-Gunnar, actually. I got back. I'm not gooning. We're playing violin. And playing my violin is classical gooning, I guess. Once there, she stood at the sill and glanced out at the garden beyond. Playing violin equal gooning. Hell yeah. Time to take up the violin. It was late at night. The digital clock on her bedside table said it was already 20:30. That's 8:30 for those who don't do a 24-hour clock, okay? 8:30. That's not that late. And the sky was navy blue. The moon ringed by wisps of cloud. There was a bit of a breeze outside, and the darkened silhouettes of the hedgerows were shaking. Ethel's fingers curled on the windowsill. All of a sudden, being inside felt stifling. Give me my mushroom girlfriend, okay? Ethel had always been so caught up in her memories that she worried they would. Oh my god! Ethel had been caught up in her memories. She worried they'd overwhelm her. 8:30 is like, yeah, it's the start of the night. It's like light. It's nighttime light, but like LITE. Oh yeah, no, I'm like the what did I call myself the other day? I'm King Gooner, the leader of all the mafia goons. When my boss told me, "Hey, we're gonna give you maybe like a promotion, but I need you can pick your own title." I wanted to ask him for the title of King Gooner, but I haven't had the conversation yet. We still haven't had the follow-up conversation where I'm supposed to tell him what my new title will be. But that's gonna be my new title, I think. I want that printed. I want that printed on my business cards. Oh, Scarlett, what do you do here? Oh, I'm the King Gooner. Look at her, cute. Newly uneasy, Ethel took an anxious step away from the window. She wasn't sure why, but she had an intense desire to escape. She had to clear the cobwebs from her mind in some way, and what better way to do that than go for a walk? Ugh, a nighttime walk is so calming, so calming. It's just kind of a shame that other people exist, you know what I mean? It might have been late at night. It was too late to go for a wander, really, but she did live in Oxbury. Oxbury was a tiny village, almost minuscule, really, with a nigh-on, non-existent crime rate. Nothing bad ever happened there. No stabbings ever took place in Oxbury, contrary to the wild claims Americans on the internet like to make about the UK's crime statistics or muggings. Why are Americans being called out right now? Ethel would be just fine. Why wouldn't she be? Oxbury was so safe and sterile, it bordered on the boring. Ma'am, as soon as you say that, you've flown the flag. You've flown the flag. Hadn't she always wanted to go on a fun adventure when she was a little girl? Adventure was hardly going to come and find her if she remained indoors, steeped in her reminiscences as if she was a tea bag. This is the kind of thinking that leads to getting kidnapped by a mushroom woman with questionable intentions. Exactly! The UK loves to throw stats back at Americans. Like, Americans, yeah, do you think the Americans can read those stats? They can't. Exactly, can't hurt me if I don't know how to read what you just said. Bam. I don't know how to do numbers. You think Americans know how to look at numbers? Statistics? They need numbers. And reading comprehension. It's a problem here. Problem in many places, actually. But it's okay because we're here. Well, I'm here. I'm here reading a visual novel, which means that I'm reading, and the word novel's in that title, which means I'm literate. This is just to help with the literacy rate. More young adults should play Toxic Mushroom Yuri games because it'll help raise the literacy rate in the country, I think I'm just saying is educational. I was going to say children, but it's not a game kids should play. Ethel didn't imagine that anything exciting would happen on her walk, but it would be better than sitting around and stewing. Ethel padded downstairs, her feet... Oh, I like how we have the kitchen background too. Ethel padded downstairs, her feet sinking against the cushioned landing, and then the cushioned steps of the staircase, and paused by the front door. She eyed her old coat, but ultimately left it be. It was a brown duffel coat, which Ethel had owned since 6th form? Does that mean 6th grade? The coat had been in active service for 4 long winters, and the passage of time had taken its toll. One of the toggles on the coat was missing. It snapped clean off. I don't even know what that... What is it? I can't speak British speak. Is that a button? Is it a button? A zipper? And the brown furry fabric was worn and threadbare in places, like a beloved teddy bear which had been cuddled one too many times. Lauren had tutted when Ethel had come home from university, clad in that natty coat, and shaken her head. "You're still wearing that old thing?" she asked, her voice incredulous. "I thought you would have bought a new coat by now. You look like you've come straight out of a jumble sale." Ethel knew that her mother hadn't meant this as a compliment. Ethel's mother rarely complimented her appearance, but she liked it nonetheless. "You're her mother. Buy her a new coat." Lauren had often taken Ethel to jumble sales when she was a girl, ostensibly to find some cheap bits and pieces for their newly renovated kitchen, but actually so she could have a natter with her friends. Lauren would stand by Auntie Jeannie and Auntie Mariella's stalls. They weren't real aunties, of course, but they were just her mother's friends. While Ethel would wander around by herself, transfixed by the wares on display. The jumble sale her mother had frequented every weekend had taken place in the park lot of the big Sainsbury in Wrexham, and all sorts of people were in attendance. It hadn't just been Auntie Jeannie who sold old paperbacks, and Auntie Mariella who sold soap and candles. There had been other, more interesting vendors with piercings and tattoos. Some of these vendors sold bits of wood whittled into fantastical creatures, self-painted dioramas of forests and fairy tale castles, handmade jewelry sets with stones, which couldn't have been precious, but which shone regardless, and beaded dream catchers which swayed in the breeze. Their ways made Auntie Jeannie's old paperbacks and Auntie Mariella's soaps and candles look very pedestrian indeed. You stopping every other line to say fucking Brits whenever you hear UK slang is what kept you from playing Pokemon Sword and Shield. I know it's English, like it's just the language of English, and even though I know what the words mean, I have to stop for a second because they don't mean what I'm used to them meaning, and then it makes me pause, and I'm like, oh yeah, right, true, that's what they mean. And they're calling the elevator the lift or something. I don't know. Words I know in my brain, but do not feel natural coming out of my mouth. Ethel had always loved jumble sales, in part because there had always been so much to gape at. Gape at? A flea market? Is that what it is? Like a flea market. They'd been so busy, Ethel had been able to melt into the crowds, completely anonymous. I was trying to remember what the word for it is. You speak British English and you're having the exact opposite experience in America, right? Oh my god. I didn't kiss the girl yet, but well, you see, playing classical music is the gooner music. And do you know what you do when you goon? That's what we did. You played the violin. That's what the game said. She compared playing the violin to masturbation. Every so often, my grandma will slip into some British slang, and it's just like, who are you? Who are you? What are you saying right now? What are you saying right now, ma'am? Oh my god, I've never seen my grandma get really angry, except for the one time someone asked her if she was Irish. And she was proper angry. Ethel had quite liked being told she looked like she had come straight from one of those sales, though her mother had been less than impressed. Ethel, beautiful, wonderful. These two big braids, love them. Lauren had told her that her coat made her look mousy, but that was what Ethel preferred, and she's rocking it. She never liked standing out. Maybe that's why she had chosen to venture outdoors at such a late hour. There wouldn't be anyone on the street to spot her. The coat really was too ratty to keep wearing, however. Ethel left it be, reasoning her jacket would be enough. Ethel did grab her father's old torch from his toolbox, however, just in case she needed it. See, I'm guessing torch here is flashlight, but I'm thinking torch like you're lighting it up to go on an adventure in a dungeon. Hello, Hylian! Welcome, welcome! She stuffed it inside a canvas bag, which she slung over her shoulder. I hope we meet our mushroom girlfriend soon. Then she stepped out onto the street. She shut the front door behind her and soon was enveloped by the shadows. The protest torch? No, this is in France. We're in England, I think. She hoped she'd be able to wander the streets uninterrupted. Wait, who's... Well, now this is a coincidence. It's been a while. Ethel, isn't it? Hydrate, stretch, deep breath. I should do all these things. My nose is so stuffy and my throat's all phlegmy. It's yucky. I keep having to like pause to breathe. Gotta take care of the streamer? I appreciate it. Wait, hold on, let me stretch one more time actually. That felt really nice actually. There we go. The streamers are like... They are like Tamagotchis, huh? Wait. Can I get this? Will this work? Oh, it's not working. Bummer. Here. Did it get deleted? Where's my little Mupagachi? The button's not working. Do I have to I guess it got deleted by accident. That's... Wait, no, there it is. There we go. It should respond to things. Occasionally. Kill the Tamagotchi! Must give streamer the endorphins to live. Exactly. That's what I need? Yes, I think that's what I need. Enjoy your lurk, Hylian. Who's talking to us? But her hopes were soon scuppered. Scuppered? Okay. There's a man on the other side of the road. A man who looked almost as washed out as Ethel. It was hard to see in the dark, even with the street lamps illuminating the gray, gloomy pavement. But Ethel recognized the man well enough. He must have been in his 50s now, but he'd been younger when Ethel had first met him. 31, 32. She wasn't sure. So when she was first born? Wait, no. She's 21. 50 minus 20 would be 30. Thesaurus English scuttle. This. Wait, actually, can I look at that again? What was that word I just said? Scuppered. Scuppered. I've never heard scuppered before. I'm learning. Scuppered's unusual even for British English. I am learning new. This is so educational. He had a lined face which spoke of his encroaching age, though it was lined in such a way that the traces of the young man he'd once been could still be seen. His jaw was still firm, his nose aquiline, and his eyes were striking. The man had a full head of hair despite his age, and it was more sandy brown than gray, shot through with only a few lighter shades. He wasn't a bad-looking man. He was definitely no monster, but Ethel still shrunk away from him. Scupper's up on your girl in the club. What you gonna do? She knew him, but that did little to endear her to him. This was Mr. Brown, one of Ethel's teachers back in primary school. Oh. British English is weird. They changed the way they speak so much just to try to add a line between the upper class and middle class. I love the wealth divide of society. Mr. Brown had been one of the few male teachers at Oxbury Primary. In fact, he might have been the only male teacher. And he stood out from the rest, not only because of his gender, but because of his sheer size. Was he big? He had been a mountain of a man. So much so, he'd had to stoop to enter and exit the classroom. Oh, poor guy. He had been head and shoulders above Miss Pierce, Mrs. Spriggett, and Mrs. Moyles. Quite literally. Giggity. No wonder he doesn't fit in the Oh wait, that's such a cute. That's a good detail. I didn't even think about that. That is because he's so big. Ethel had always found Mr. Brown intimidating. What with his sheer vastness, not to mention his voice, which had been deep and booming. Yeah, when you're walking around at night and you come across a bear of a man, sometimes you wish you were coming across an actual bear, you know? I mean, he might be a good guy. He might be fine. It's just, at night, when you see that figure looming in the distance. Ethel, granted, had been a good deal shorter herself back when she had been in primary school. But Mr. Brown didn't look any less intimidating over a decade later. Ethel had grown while Mr. Brown had not, but he still eclipsed her. Mr. Brown was taller than Rowan, who had shot up when he started secondary school. Taller too than her father, who had played basketball when he was younger. He was easily taller than 6 feet. He could have been even put. Okay, hold on a minute here. We're gonna have all this British slang, and then we're gonna throw in 6 feet here? You can't break my British immersion and give me 6 feet. Almost 7. How many centimeters is that? Do they use feet in England? What do they use in England? They don't use feet in England, right? Wait, they do? They do use feet? Oh no. Oh, they use wait, what? They do use feet? They use both. Google? Surely not. They also use stone as a measurement. I tried to Google, did they use feet in England, but I wrote, do they have feet in England? I'm sorry, but British people aren't born with feet. Any British person you've seen wearing shoes, those are prosthetics. 182 centimeters is 6 feet. Oh, okay, that's tall. They don't have feet. Famously, they don't have feet. It's crazy. Mr. Brown was a vast mountain of a man with large hands and large feet, whose coat seemed too small to contain him. Ethel had been afraid of Mr. Brown as a young girl, and little had changed. Getting stoned in the 1700s, getting stoned in 2000s, getting stoned in 2025. Oh, what way are we talking about? Like murdering people, right? Like the one where you, what do you call it? When you put the stones on top and you press down on them? It's a fantastic way of torture and murder. She was still afraid of him. Ethel shrunk back, shaking. Oh yeah, she fits a lot better in this. Murder tends to be a safer topic than drugs, right? What was Mr. Brown doing outside so very late? It's like, girl, it's 8:30. It's 8:30. It's not that late at night. You know, you can tell she's from a small town because she thinks 8:30 at night is that late. You can also tell she's like, she's a college student, but she's clearly a nerd. She thinks 8:30 is late. On a holiday, even? Or a holiday, like, week or something? It was strange, but... Dog! You're in bed at 8:30? Whoa. What time is it now? How long have you been in bed? Ah, that explained it. He must have been walking his dog. Mr. Brown's dog was a curious sight. It was the polar opposite of his owner. Small and runty, where Mr. Brown was tall and wide. Small and runty. That's so cute. Oh, it's only been like an hour. Okay. That's not bad. It's not bad. It's not bad. The dog and the owner were so mismatched, it was almost comical. The diminutive dog He was a spaniel? Ethel wasn't sure. Was so tiny, Ethel worried Mr. Brown might step on it by accident. I think it's funny is Spock is a very small cat, and when he's next to Patraven, he's a very tall man. It's like the cat's like the size of Patraven's head. Ethel hadn't known that Mr. Brown had a dog. Fun fact, everybody. Your teachers outside of school are in fact people. She didn't know much about Mr. Brown at all. She hadn't thought about him in years. Was the spaniel? Yeah, Ethel was sure it was a spaniel. A new addition to his family? Well, whatever. It didn't really matter. No, my cat didn't poop on the desk. My cat had pooped, and it was still on his butt, and then he sat on me, and that's different. That's different. It's different. It's more like he pooped. That's closer to pooping on me directly than on the desk, which I think is much more intimate. Ethel? Ethel's shocked silence must have perturbed Mr. Brown, because he sounded concerned when he said, "You are Ethel, aren't you? Ethel Briggs? It's been a while since I saw you, but I remember you. I don't forget any of my students." "Oh, yeah, I'm Ethel. Sorry. I thought as much. It's nice to know I'm not going completely senile. I take it you're back home from university then?" "Oh, yes. You're going to Durham?" Yeah, did my parents tell you that?" I, me matey, Jude told me." Swashbuckler, I am. The English accent's basically like pirate speak, right? "Oh, do you see my parents very much then?" "We go to the pub." I can't say I don't even know. I just can't. I can't. Pirate accent. "We go to the pub quiz together sometimes in Wrexham. Your father can be very competitive." Ethel didn't disbelieve that. Jude had always been a bit of a know-it-all. Okay, Jude's the dad. Keep thinking, Jude's the dad, Lauren's the mom. It's throwing me off calling her parents by their name. Have I watched the IT Crowd? No. I probably should though. I've heard it's funny, right? It's funny. It's not anime. I know the opening song for it's pretty catchy though. I don't know how to do a British accent. I wish I did. I just can do a really bad me matey. Ethel didn't disbelieve that. Jude, blah, 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 blah. He was the sort of man who liked to watch quiz shows solely so he could yell at the contestants for getting things wrong. And woe betide, they loused up any questions on classic rock. That was Jude's specialty. One time at my old job, so we always had a little bit of a natural break time at the same time Jeopardy was playing. And so we made like a thing where we all sat in the break room and watched Jeopardy. And there was like one question that came up, and I can't remember. It was like, which vice president's daughter died in a shipwreck or something? I don't remember. And I just sat there and I'm like, oh yeah, that was Theodosia, Aaron Burr's daughter. And everyone just looked at me. They're like, whoa, is she a genius? And I was just like, no, I just watched Hamilton. It was good stuff. But that was how I impressed all the old people at work, making them think I knew history. Ethel couldn't imagine her mother joining in a pub quiz all that enthusiastically, but she probably went along for the drinks and the peanuts. Ethel had been to the pub in Wrexham with her parents a couple of times, and Lauren got on well with the proprietor, old Jerry. He always made a show of IDing Lauren whenever she ordered a pint, though it really wasn't necessary. Lauren might have been young for a mother of 3, and she took great pains to ensure her makeup was just so, but she was in her early 42. It was impossible that anyone might mistake her for a teenager, but Lauren still liked the attention. She thrived on it. I've actually been seeing quite a bit of your parents after Evie's funeral. Your mom helped me with the arrangements and with all the refreshments. Wait, who's Evie? Her help was invaluable. Is it like his wife or something? Because that sounds sad. That sounded familiar. Ethel thought her mother might have mentioned it at some point or another. That her old primary school teacher's wife had died recently. Oh, that's sad. He said he's what, like early 50s or something? 50s? She hadn't given it much thought, but she supposed her mother must have been talking about Mr. Brown. He was the only male teacher she'd had, and Ethel didn't think that Miss Pierce, Mrs. Spriggan, or Mrs. Moyles had been having any clandestine lesbian affairs on the sly. They were all too old-fashioned. Ethel wondered briefly if Mr. Brown expected her to comment on his wife's passing, but she was spared the need when he continued once more, readjusting his grip on the dog's lead. I've been curious about you too. You were one of my better students, even among all the Year 5 kiddos, so I asked about you sometimes. I hope you didn't mind. Ethel did mind, as it happened. She didn't like being spoken about behind her back, even if the talk was all positive. She didn't know how to articulate this, however, without sounding rude. Stuck for words, Ethel looked at her feet and said, "Oh, no, it's fine. Your parents are quite proud of you, you know. They can't stop boasting about you." Ethel thought that was highly unlikely. She might have gotten into a good university, and maybe she was doing well academically, but her parents had never taken much stock in highfalutin things like degrees. Neither of her parents had been to university. Jude had joined the workforce as soon as he'd been able to. He'd apprenticed as a plumber, and Lauren hadn't even finished secondary school. Wait, what'd she say? Her mom was 42, and she's 21, so her mom had her at 21? Okay. She had packed in school altogether when she turned 15, so she could pursue her dreams of superstardom. Oh, mom makes sense more to me now. Unfortunately for Lauren, however, those dreams hadn't come into fruition. She had done some modeling for trashy tabloids for a few years, before debuting as an actress in a few skeezy, low-budget flicks Ethel never wanted to see. Lauren wound up settling down and starting a family with Jude when she was only 21. Her age, Ethel thought with a shiver. Though she'd never seemed particularly bitter about her lot in life. Well, that's good at least. Lauren had never taken much of an interest in her daughter's creative or academic pursuits, though she'd not been dismissive of them either. Lauren had driven Ethel all the way to Wrexham once a week for violin lessons with Miss Manderley. Lessons she had paid for without complaining. She seemed pleased too when Ethel had been accepted into her university of choice, though her displeasure hadn't been much more than effusive than a benign, "Oh, that's nice, dear. I suppose we'll have to get your student grant sorted out then, eh?" No, not the, don't write that in the British accent. Ethel found it hard to believe that her mother had been boasting about her academically talented daughter. Oh my god, her parents are just emotionally constipated. Her parents are British. This all makes sense. Lauren would have been more inclined to boast if Ethel had started to dress more fashionably, or if she'd learned how to apply eyeliner without making her eyes water, or if she had started her own successful TikTok channel. Lauren had a TikTok account of her own, where she filmed herself putting on makeup, taking off makeup, showing off her nails, and singing along to her favorite pop songs. Lauren was actually fairly successful on the platform, and it had managed to rack up over 300,000 followers in the span of 2 years. Imagine if you're born anything, you're born British. I think the mom's an influencer. Hey, what is it? Okay, like say one person has two parents, and one parent is British and one parent isn't British. Does that person count as that person's not British, right? Because they don't live in a British land, right? Just checking. We're just checking on all these things on a hypothetical elven England. It depends where they're born. So if they're not born in Elvish England, they're born in Elvish America. They're American, right? Good. It's fine. They're safe. They're okay. They're good. You get a British passport if your parent is British? Oh yeah. Oh right. No, I don't want either. I need a third country? I need to find out my mom secretly from somewhere else. Somewhere maybe Scandinavian or something. Wait, her mom has more followers than me. Her mom has more followers than me. You sometimes did sponsorships with makeup brands, and there was her newfound fame which paid for Manny's fancy gaming PC, Jude's new computer, and the family's holiday in Australia. Oh, I noticed that there was a fancy gaming PC in her room in the background there. That was her brother's PC from when he uses her room. That's a cute detail that was drawn in there, and it was mentioned. If Ethel had been like Lauren, bouncy and cheerful, Ethel imagined her mother would have been more inclined to boast about her. But as it was, Ethel thought it was doubtful. I bet it's a situation where her mom does brag about her, but because, like logically she's proud of her daughter, but then, because the two of them are just so different that when they're near each other, they probably, like, butt heads. They'll probably, like, I bet it's the kind, well, I don't know entirely yet. It's probably the kind of situation in, like, a few years when Ethel's a little bit more comfortable with herself, and her mom starts seeing her more as, like, I don't know, an adult, they'll probably start getting along a lot better. But right now, they're just like in an awkward phase. Hopefully. It wasn't hard to imagine that Mr. Brown's cared about Ethel's academic achievements more than her own parents did. Still, it was kind of him, Ethel supposed, to bother spinning her a white lie like that. Maybe it's true! I'd like to think it's true! He must have been trying to cheer her up. Although it is nice to think that he is trying to cheer her up. Oh, I'm sorry, where's my manners? You'll be on your Christmas holidays now, right? I doubt you want to talk about university much right now. Oh, not really. Though, I've thought as much. I'm sorry for bringing it up. I didn't want to make you feel uncomfortable. The thought was appreciated, but Ethel thought it was rather too late for that. She already felt uncomfortable. That wasn't necessarily Mr. Brown's fault, however. She felt uncomfortable about most things in life. That's just how she was. I'll leave you on your merry way, but I am curious. What are you doing going for a walk at this hour? I'm gonna go find my mushroom girlfriend. It's very dark outside, and I think it might start raining soon. Are you sure you'll be alright? Thank you. I'll be fine. Are you sure? Ethel nodded. I have my phone with me, and I even brought Dad's old torch if it gets too dark. It should be able to light the way, but I won't be gone long. I just wanted to go looking for bats. Bats. Yes, and nightjars. My dad took me out to look for them sometimes, and when I was little. I know my way around the forest, so it should be fine. If you say so. Mr. Brown didn't look wholly reassured, but he didn't try to question Ethel further. Maybe he didn't have time for it. He's probably like, I don't know. I think she'll be fine. She's an adult though, so it's I trust it. She's fine. His dog was beginning to tug on his lead, yipping fiercely as he did. Mr. Brown's dog might have been small, but he had quite the set of lungs on him, and he clearly wasn't afraid of using them. It looks like his lordship's here. His lordship? That's adorable. His lordship here's getting hungry. I can't keep him waiting. Not if I don't want to wake up half the blasted village. I should be off now. But do take care of yourself. I know you're a great grown lass by now, but the woods can be perilous at night. Even if you have a torch and you know your way. The woods are a lot bigger than they look. I wish I could do an accent. You're a great grown lass. I think I want to say lass more often. I like lass. Lassie. Oof. I wouldn't want you getting lost. And do you know what happened to the Delaney girl? Ooh. Well, of course Ethel knew what had happened to the Delaney girl. Everybody in Oxbury did. It had been quite the topic of conversation when it had happened. Ethel hadn't been living in Oxbury then, though. She just started university in Durham, and she'd been trying to desperately keep her head above the water. but Lauren had told her all about it. Her mother had called her breathless to tell her that a girl had gone missing. And it wouldn't be the first time either. Don't you remember that Chloe girl? You were still in primary school at the time. That caused such a stir too. I wonder if the cases are related. Is it the toxic mushroom girlfriend picking up her own girlfriends? Meals? Prey? Ethel hadn't liked the way her mother had talked about the girl's disappearance, as though it was some amusing piece of gossip. No different from who was dating who on Love Island. Love Island! Hello! Check-in, 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 check-in. She found it rather tasteless. Ethel had known the missing girl. She'd not been a local of Oxbury. According to the local paper, she'd been staying there for a few days with a couple of relatives, and she didn't even remember her first name. If it's Toxie, you're good enough. It'll be all three. Yeah, you're so right. I forgot. I was trying to remember what the few I said. I was like, what did I say? Girlfriend, prey. I don't remember. Either way, Sussy, your kiss is not yet, but I hope soon. She thought it'd been something unusual, though. Something exotic? India? Maybe? Indigo? Indigo Montoya? Well, in any case, the girl had last been sighted near the edge of the woods by a dog walker. Well, the police had combed every inch of the forest, but her body had never been discovered. If there was a body to uncover at all. It is possible she had grown bored of being stuck in Oxbury and had run away. There's no guarantee she'd come to a sticky end, and neither was there any evidence. But Ethel still wondered. And so it seemed, did Mr. Brown, was he the dog walker? It all had been almost 3 years since the young Miss Delaney's disappearance, but it cast something of a spell over Oxbury. As a teacher, Mr. Brown must have been more concerned than most. He had spent the better part of his life looking after small children, cleaning skinned knees and breaking up arguments over who stole whose favorite toy. Ethel could hardly fault Mr. Brown for worrying, but his concern still rankled. There was something uncomfortable cloying about it. Did Mr. Brown still regard her as a child? Was that why he was lecturing her? Ethel was 21 now, but she knew Mr. Brown would never regard her as an adult in her own right. Because at 21, you're still a baby! You're not even through college yet. You're still doing your university stuff. You're just a baby. You're silly enough to walk around at 8:30 at night and go into the forest to get bats. I mean, I would do the same exact thing, so I can't judge you. I cannot judge you. I would absolutely go to the forest at midnight to look for bats. But still, in hindsight, maybe it's not the best idea to do on your own. You can judge? I mean, maybe, I suppose. But, wait. How could he when he'd known her as a 9-year-old? This realization was an uncomfortable one. It made Ethel cringe. Even at 14, you'd sneak out? You would stay out of the woods? Yeah, but your woods and her woods, I think, are different kinds of woods. Her woods have sexy mushroom ladies, and yours maybe didn't. I'll be fine. Really. I know my way around, and I have my phone. If I do get lost, I can call for help. Who Ethel would call if she got lost exactly was a mystery even to her. She could hardly call her parents, given that they were in Australia, and she knew she wouldn't have the courage to call the police. Ethel would have hesitated to dial 999 even if her own home had been... Is 999-911? Even if her home had been broken into by a couple of machete-wielding muggers. She wouldn't have wanted to be a burden. Oh no, Ethel, you at least need to call emergency services in emergency situations, please. Maybe Mr. Brown realized this. He had known Ethel for several years, but he chose, rather tactfully, not to comment upon it. And what is another name for a mountain lion? A sexy mushroom lady? Oh, wait. A man-eater. Instead, he nodded and said, "Very good. Take care then, and make sure you come back before it rains, eh?" I just can't. I just think of it as pirate speak. Thank you. I'll, see you later? I'm sure you will. If you need anything while your parents are away, remember, Sparky and I are just a few doors down. The puppy's name is Sparky? Sparky? Was that the name of Mr. Brown's dog? Ethel supposed it must have been. Though what a small dog like Sparky could possibly do to help her, or anybody for that matter, was a mystery. Sparky's gonna save our life, I know it. Ethel doubted she would have cause to call on Mr. Brown, or on Sparky, during the ensuing days, but she didn't say this. Instead, she nodded and thanked Mr. Brown, who smiled in concern. Good night then, Ethel. I hope you have luck finding your bats. Bye, Ethel. Hope you find your bats. I hope so too. Ethel hadn't had much luck during the last few months, not since the start of her third and final year of university. Oh, luck in general. I was like, oh, is she going out like every night to find bats? Is that just her hobby? Because I can get behind that. She could have used a bit of good fortune. Seeing the genre of this game, I think she's not going to have any good fortune. Mr. Brown gave Ethel a brief wave with his hand, which wasn't occupied with Sparky's leash, and turned. Mr. Brown's footsteps faded away, as did the sounds of Sparky's indignant yapping, though this took far longer to fade. For such a small dog, Sparky was awfully loud. Just in case. Ethel watched for a few moments, motionless. She then spun on her heels. It was time to go to the forest. Yeah, it is. Ethel began to walk through the village. Hello, Draco! Ethel began to walk through the village once more, picking her way through the latticework of shadows, which were slowly lengthening on the ground. Her footsteps were dull on the pavement, a series of muted sounds which offered little competition when contrasted with the mournful moaning of the wind. You like my mushrooms? Thank you! Draco, wait! Do I still have a cup? Draco, look at this! Draco, look at this! I didn't get it, but I feel like you would appreciate that. Isn't that super cute? Her footfalls were dull. Wait, I read that. It had been breezy when Ethel first stepped outdoors, but the wind was beginning to pick up now. It tugged at her braided hair, and she shivered. If only there was a sexy mushroom lady here to embrace her and keep her warm. Why didn't I get it? Because I already bought something else. I'm hoping to maybe get it for like Christmas or something. I'll get it eventually. I was buying an outfit for the Ren Fair, and I came across that one after I already bought something. So maybe next year, for next year's Ren Fair, I'm gonna be a mushroom witch. Draco existing, right? I got to see Draco last week. We had D&D. And I also get to see Draco this Sunday because we're going to the Ren Fair. It's good stuff. This is my thing to brag about, is that I get to hang out with Draco in person. Making the mushroom hat. Oh my god, it would match. It would match one day. I keep seeing tutorials on Instagram on how to make cute mushroom hats. It knows me. A cute glass figure at the Ren Fair. She should have expected the poor weather, given it was early January, but she was still surprised by how frigid it was. What was the temperature? It must have been in the single digits. Single digits Celsius or Fahrenheit? Ethel looked up at the sky, which hung above her, dark and mysterious. The clouds are grim, foreboding even, but they didn't look numerous enough to promise rain. This almost looks like Toho. Is it the two big braids that she has? I think just as gay. Mushroom, 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 mushroom. Every year, I always see at least one person with a giant mushroom hat. Same thing at either the anime conventions, at the Ren fairs, and it's fantastic stuff. Ooh, the music's starting to pick up. The clouds are grim, foreboding even, but they didn't look numerous enough to promise rain. Maybe Mr. Brown had been wrong about the weather. But Mr. Brown was a sensible man, and it seemed unlikely he would make a mistake. Even, or perhaps especially, about something as mundane as the weather. She would have to be quick about her walk if she didn't want to get drenched. She'd step into the woods and make a neat circuit around the trees, and then after 15 minutes, she'd head back. Yeah, that would be fine. She wouldn't wander too far. What was the point? It wasn't like Oxbury's forest was all that exciting either. Do you like that mushroom? Mabinogi mushroom robe? Is this like when you tell someone to look up something, but it's actually a good thing? Or is this when you tell someone to look it up, but you're telling them to look up like Sonic inflation? Wait, no, that's adorable. That is so cute. It's like oh, hey, I want that. And that's what the mushroom witch wears for a cloak. It was in a dreamlike manner that Ethel navigated the streets. As she did, the wind blew. It sounded sad, like a wounded animal. Maybe coming out here was a mistake after all. What was the point in coming all the way out here anyway? She's already forgotten. Good! It worked! There was something that Ethel really wanted to do in the woods. She was just trying to run away from responsibilities, like she had after Clementine. But Ethel didn't want to think about that. It was with uncertain eyes that Ethel glanced down around the dense woodland which surrounded her. In the distance, somewhere far above her head, an owl hooted. The sound split the air quite suddenly and Ethel jumped. Hoot, hoot, hooty, hoot! I never watched the last season of Owl House, and I finally started catching up on it. Good show. Such a good show. She hadn't expected it. She could feel her pulse hammering uncomfortably in the base of her neck. Ethel had been in the forest many, many times before. Sometimes with her parents and sometimes with her brothers. Though, more often than not on her own. But it felt different tonight. Maybe it was because of Mr. Brown's warning. What's that sound in the background? Let me adjust the music. That Delaney girl was on Ethel's mind. It felt almost as if she were watching her from the shadows, giggling at Ethel's unease. There was something disconcerting about the woods tonight. Something devouring. She's about to get devoured. Hell yeah. Oh my gosh, soft and cozy mushroom cloak? Hell yeah. It seemed almost to be inviting her in, but beneath its cordiality, there lurked something uncompromising and devouring. When Ethel closed her eyes, she thought she could hear strange whispers upon the breeze. But surely, that was silly. Nothing lived in the forest apart from rabbits, mice, and the odd badger. There was something waiting in the woods for her. She was being stupid. Oh, Shane, what happened at... Wait, do I still have that open? Knights of, Guinevere? I think I still have the tab open, yeah. Speaking of... I have it open still to watch. There was nothing waiting in the woods for her. She was being stupid. Ethel took a deep breath. Then she steps forwards. The loose leaves strewn on the cold, hard ground crunched beneath her soles, and once again an owl hooted. This time, however, it didn't startle her. She was prepared for it. Ethel continued to tramp through the woods, her father's clunky torch in hand. It wasn't a very reliable source of light. It kept gutting in and out, but at least it had a dual purpose. If push came to shove, and she was set upon by some miscreant, it was heavy enough that she could use it as a weapon. Alice was metal. Ethel doubted anybody would attack her, however, despite Mr. Brown's warnings. She was in Oxbury, for goodness sake. It wasn't the sort of place where people were attacked. Hell, not even the missing Delaney girl had been attacked. She just simply disappeared. Besides, it wasn't like Ethel had anything on her that was worth stealing. Her phone was an old Samsung, at least 6 generations out of date. So delightfully archaic in the current year that Clementine had laughed at her. She'd always joked that Ethel's phone belonged in a museum. Hello, Sweet Pea! Oh! L-M-N-O-P! Q-R-S-T-U-V-W-X, Y, and Z. I couldn't remember what letter went after O. I had to say the whole alphabet. Ethel hadn't bothered to bring her wallet with her either. There weren't any shops open this late. Oh, I froze. You mean, a mugger wouldn't know that, though. A mugger wouldn't know that. The mugger would see a phone, they'd see a person alone. They'd think, hey, let me check out what she's got. Enjoy my violin. Oh, I'm gonna enjoy the violin. Yeah, I am. Yeah, I am. She's really working that death flag with a nothing will ever happen. Yeah, she is. Clementine sounds kind of mean. Yeah, Clementine does sound kind of judgmental. I don't even know who Clementine is yet. I can guess, though. There were scarcely any shops in Oxbury at all, save for the corner shop owned by the Lilly family, and that closed at 6 o'clock. 6 had already come, then passed, a long time ago. Now it was almost 9 o'clock, and Ethel could feel it. The wind blew, uncomfortably cold, trailing its invisible fingers against Ethel's cheeks. I think we're gonna meet the Mushroom Girl soon. Mr. Brown had warned that it might rain, but it felt so cold. Snow was beginning to seem more likely. Though it'd been cold for the last month, it hadn't snowed yet. It'd been a predictably British sort of Christmas. Not white, but brown and gray and squatty. Squatty? Squatty? What kind of name is Squatty? British words. There had been no pure white sheets of incorruptible snow, nor even a few token powdery flakes falling from the sky. There had, however, been rain, and plenty of it. Rain which had tipped it down in stair rods, on Christmas Eve. I don't even know what that means. Rain which had tipped it down in stair rods. I don't know what that means. I mean, I can guess. I guess for context clues, but it's not an American sentence. It hadn't rained on Christmas itself, which had been something of a small mercy, but it had been continuously cloudy and overcast throughout the holy day. Britishism for raining really hard, yeah. I understand these individual words, but together in this sentence, I have no idea. Oh god, it's so weird. It's like it's funkier on my brain than a whole different language. Because it's so similar, but just the slight differences here and there trip me up. Ethel hadn't gone outside on Christmas, though her parents and brothers had. They'd asked if she'd like to take a turn in the woods herself, to get some color onto her cheeks, but Ethel had declined these generous invitations. Why'd they go to the woods on Christmas Day? I guess it wasn't rainy. Ethel thought it'd be too muddy, and she hadn't wanted to twist her ankle. Fortunately, it hadn't rained at all in the ensuing week. The forest floor might once have been squelching mud and mire, but now the dirt was reassuringly cold and compact. Ethel was unsure whether that would last for very long, however. Not if it really did begin to rain. The moon overhead was round and full that night, just like a perfect pearl, on an earring nestled in the ear of a beautiful woman. Squatty! Squatty gun. Squatty makes heavy rain sound more Barney than emo. It does! Lauren had nagged Ethel to get her own ears pierced, but Ethel never wanted to go along with it. She worried that it'd hurt, and anyway, she hadn't really seen the point in it. When I was a kid and I got my ears pierced, I really wanted them pierced, and then I went there and they did one ear, and I freaked out because it hurt so bad, and it took an hour to get me to calm down to get the other ear pierced. And I'm so glad everyone was really patient with me because it would have been so embarrassing to only have one pierced ear. I would have regretted that. It does. It hurting is very much a it's a valid criticism. Okay, I can't. Ethel's fine here. She's fine. You don't want to put a needle in your ear. You don't need to put a needle in your ear. If you want to, go for it. Clip-on earrings can look really nice too. She didn't understand the appeal of poking holes in herself. Not so she could gussy herself up with studs and hoops and glinting bits of gold. She had no interest in making herself a target for any thieving magpies. And it hurts after too, yeah. And then if you try to like lay on it, and then you have to keep it clean because you risk it infecting. Which is fine for some people, but I am very forgetful. Lauren had always laughed at Ethel's unease. Don't be so dopey. Heaps of girls even younger than you get their ears pierced. I was only 7 when I had mine done, and it didn't hurt at all. I think it hurt when you were 7, but you were 7, so you don't remember it anymore. But Ethel had remained firm. She could be stubborn about the strangest of things. I see. I think Lauren took some Tylenol when she was pregnant with Ethel. I think that's what this is. I think this is what this is hinting at. Lauren had been bemused by her daughter's indifferences, but she hadn't pushed the issue. Not too much, at least. Instead, Lauren had shrugged and said, "Oh well, suit yourself. You are being daft, though, Effie." That was how most of Ethel's conversations with her mother went. She was always calling her daft. Sometimes Ethel took offense, even though it was a very mild insult. Better even than the things kids said on the playground. If you overclean, it can also cause problems? No, the soap was... That's another issue? That's another issue? If you don't clean, it's a problem. If you do clean, it's a problem. Squatty sounds much better in a flirtatious manner. Wait, is that a way that it's used? Or are you just saying that because you think it's funny? How would you describe a person as squatty? Is it their axe? I'm over here Googling. I'm Googling British terms. Excuse me, what do all these mean? Sometimes, however, she thought that her mother had a point. She really was daft. She was being daft right now, wandering through the woods so very light at night. But still, she didn't stop. She kept on walking, the foliage crunching underfoot. The Tamagotchi, the Mupagotchi, yes! I keep forgetting it exists. I should bring it out more. Ooh, the music's getting intense again. Sometimes Ethel liked to imagine that she was a heroine for a romantic poem when she wandered through the woods. A nameless beauty Lord Byron might have committed to the paper, who walked with all the grace of the night herself. But Ethel knew this was nothing more than a fantasy. She was, in all aspects, hopelessly plain. No, you are not plain. You're not plain. No matter what you think, you're not. Maybe that's why Clementine had... No, Ethel wasn't gonna think about it. She did have to think about her thesis, though. That was weighing on her. Why, she wondered, had she been silly enough to write her thesis on romantic poets when they focused so intensely, obsessively even, on things that were beautiful. It's cursed. Can you make this kitty go squatty? Click here to find out. Oh my god! Translating that to American English. If they weren't waxing poetic on beautiful women, they were writing in the beauties of nature, of lakes and forests and hills and dizzyingly high cliffs capped with snow. Sometimes Ethel liked to read about the beauties of nature. Wow, and you also like to go to the forest in the middle of the night. That's fine. That makes sense. It checks out. It was rarer that she liked to read about beautiful women. The former was uplifting, but the latter was just depressing. Was that why she was struggling with her thesis so much? Was it the subject matter? Ethel didn't think she had lost interest in her poetry, but enthusiasm had definitely dwindled. Maybe it was inevitable, when Clementine had been the one to pique her interest in the subject. Clementine had always been very passionate about poetry, romantic poetry in particular. Though reading these old poems with Clementine, Ethel had found something in them to appreciate herself, something she had never noticed before. But maybe it wasn't the words of these poems that she had appreciated, but the way they sounded in Clementine's mouth when she spoke them. Ooh? Had Ethel only pretended to be interested in poetry because she wanted to have more in common with Clementine? In retrospect, that seemed depressingly likely. Ethel had wanted Clementine to like her. She had almost been slavish in the way that she followed her around, laughing at all her jokes a little too loudly, affirming that yes, of course all her essays were wonderfully original. She even offered to be Clementine's caddy when they had been on campus. Ethel had only been too happy to buy Clementine drinks from the vending machine or snacks from the student shop whenever she so desired. No! Ethel had wanted Clementine to like her so badly for such a long time. No! Then Clementine had liked her and it had been wonderful. No! You should have a good night, Draco! Have a good night, sleep well! For over a year, Ethel had been suspended upon the clouds. Nothing could have hurt her until it came all crashing down. Had it been inevitable? Maybe she should have expected it. Ethel shuddered. She felt very, very cold and uncomfortable alongside it. This coldness did not abate the further Ethel walked into the woods. An icy chill coiled into her guts, clenched around her heart like a vice. She could feel it, upon the crown of her head, trickling down her neck. When did she start growing mushrooms on herself? She could feel... Oh. Was that rain? It looked like Mr. Brown had been right. The rain came slowly at first, and irregularly, but it didn't take long before spears of the stuff started pelting down. The rain made everything look faint and blurry, as if it was being viewed through a filter. Something in the undergrowth rustled, and Ethel glanced in its direction, the wind whipping her hair around her face. What was that? Ethel knew the answer to be probably nothing. Or if it wasn't nothing, then it was a small, insignificant sort of something. It must have been a rabbit seeking shelter from the rain. That, or a vole, or maybe a sodden squirrel. There was nothing for Ethel to worry about, apart from the miserable weather, of course. Ethel shouldn't have ventured so far into the woods, but it was too late to worry about that now. She couldn't double back on herself in hopes of avoiding the rain. Her home was a good half-hour walk away. Ethel had come further than she had meant to, and fallen, quite literally, off the beaten path. The trees now rose up around her, dark and ominous, like mute watchmen standing sentinel. Ethel looked worriedly. She had no idea where the rain was going to stop, but she doubted it would be any time soon. She had to take shelter somewhere, but where? Under a tree? Under a giant mushroom? What about the church? St. Catherine's was an old crooked building which bordered the forest. It was located on the fringe of Oxbury, away from the rest of the houses. Half-hour walk means a 5-minute sprint. Should I think, how long would it take me to... I guess a half hour would be about like a mile or so. I'm trying to think of like my school. I had to walk this like high school a lot, and it was a little over a mile, and it took me about 45 minutes to walk there. It did depend on the traffic lights and stuff, though. How fast can someone run a mile? Like 10 minutes? Is that reasonable? Really, she should just run more. She should just be more in shape. Maybe picking up some exercise would cure her depression. I don't know. That's what people on the internet say, at least. Ethel's parents weren't religious, but her grandmother was, and she'd taken Ethel to St. Catherine's a few times in the past, mostly for Easter and Christmas services, where they sang hymns praising a god none of them put all that much stock in. Ethel wasn't very religious either. She must have inherited from her father, just like his freckles. Oh yeah, she does have freckles. She keeps getting even better. But she did wonder, on occasions, if the world was governed by some greater power nobody could see. Beautiful mushroom women. 10 to 15 minutes on average stamina? Oh, okay. Okay. I don't remember last time I tried to run a mile. It's been a while. If ever. Ethel had even tried praying a few times, as it happened, to see if some mysterious greater being would answer. But she'd felt silly and self-conscious, even though she'd been on her own, and she'd soon stopped. You know what that means? I should probably buy a treadmill, honestly. She hadn't been able to rid herself of the mental image of her father, scoffing as he said, "God? What a load of bollocks. The only god I believe in is Jimi Hendrix." That sounds like my dad as well, actually. That's pretty much just my dad. Ethel hadn't been about to pray to Jimi Hendrix, of course. The mere idea had been so silly, it had dampened her momentary religious musings. Ethel still wasn't sure if she believed in God, but if he did exist, she was sure he wouldn't mind if she took shelter in one of his churches for a while. If she could avoid the worst of the rain, then she would have nothing negative to say on the subject of organized religion in the foreseeable future. You'd like to say that you can't run just so you can find your own mushroom mommy? Yeah, you know, if I had to choose between running and mushroom mommy... Oh man, I don't even have feet anymore. Well, actually, we've established earlier on that British people don't have feet. So if they don't have feet, they can't run. So unfortunately, Ethel can't run. It wasn't like Ethel had any particular vendetta against Christianity anyway. Not like your father, who railed against it as being illogical and impractical. Oh my god, it's just my dad. Jude found a lot of things illogical and impractical. Ethel knew that her love for English literature ranked quite highly on his list. No, I lied. My dad does like English literature. He's a little bit of an oxymoron there. He wants things to make sense, but he also likes his fantasy. Ethel bit her lip. Then she began to pick her way through the forest. The rain was coming down even harder now, thick and fast and unforgiving, and it obscured her vision. It didn't help that it was so dark either. The light from Jude's old torch wasn't doing much to help. It was hard for Ethel to keep her footing. The floor was mulchy, and it was festooned with roots, arched raised things which threatened to trip Ethel at every step. Ethel sidestepped a thorn bush and very nearly walked smack dab into a tree, though she was able to circumnavigate it just in time. That had been a close call. As little as Ethel enjoyed being rained on, she enjoyed the thought of breaking a limb even less. And it's like January, so it's a cold rain. Ethel continued to walk, picking up speed as she did. The church wasn't so far away now. She'd be able to duck inside and dry herself off, provided, of course, that the door was unlocked. That looks kind of haunted to me. She broke through the last line of trees, her clothes sticking to her skin like tarpaulin, and looked up at... I don't know what that word is. I know I should just keep going, but when I see a word I don't know, I have to look it up. Alright, what's this mean? Oh, wait! Is that the full word for a tarp? Oh! Ah! Like if I put a tarp over something. That's just the full word. Okay. I didn't know that. You can only see the second syllable of the word? Paul. Paul. Paul is dead. Paul is dead. The church was small and squat, but it did look oddly imposing in the dark. Its tiled roof superimposed against the wickedly thin crescent moon. St. Catherine's arched wooden door loomed over Ethel as she approached it, almost consuming in the darkness. Ethel had been sure she would be able to take shelter here, like the persecuted Esmeralda in the Hunchback of Notre Dame, but maybe not. Notre Dame? Wait, shoot, which one's the football team and which one's the church? Which was the cathedral and which was the football team? Football team? Oh no, I'm messing it up again. I was getting made fun of by Hat Raven like a couple weeks ago because I said it wrong. It wouldn't have been too surprising if the warden had locked the church come sunset. Wasn't the moon full a moment ago? Oh. Oh. Aren't they the same? One pronunciation's how you pronounce the cathedral, and one's the football team. And I don't know. I forgot already. Plays VN for a great time, gets class in English as unfortunate side effect. It's education I'm learning. I'm being exposed to different cultures right now. It wouldn't do to have vandals laying waste to the interior, nicking off the burnished bronze candlesticks and prayer mats. Ethel didn't think that there was anything worth nicking in St. Catherine's, but some people would take anything if it wasn't nailed down. It wasn't like there was much else to do in Oxbury other than look for the potentially decomposing corpse of the presumably dead Delaney girl. But now that she'd come this far, she felt compelled to try. It would have been foolish to back down now. Ethel paused to wipe her brow free of rainwater. Not that it even mattered, really, given how fiercely the rain was still pouring down. Then she reached for the door of St. Catherine's. She pressed her palm against the door and pushed inwards. She didn't expect the door to give way beneath her touch. She was starting to feel decidedly pessimistic, but Ethel gasped, surprised, as the door cleaved beneath her touch. You know what's surprising to me? This girl is too afraid to call the police in the sense of in case of emergency, but she'll walk into the church. I would be the exact opposite. I would let myself freeze to death. Oh, it looks like a full moon again. I would let myself freeze to death in the pouring rain before I tried to go into a place uninvited. Like some kind of social vampire. That was reassuring. Ethel pushed against the door with more strength than before, and the door swung inwards. The door was heavy, but it offered little resistance, creaking loudly like some subterranean monster. Ethel could see a sliver of the church through the gap which emerged, and she could see it was dark. This, however, was to be expected. It was very late at night. One thing takes more effort than another, and lazy progress always triumphs. Exactly! I think. It seemed unlikely that there would be anybody else here at such an hour. She would have been alarmed, in fact, if there was. It came at a great surprise, therefore, when Ethel finally slipped inside the building and she saw her. Her? Oh. I just got a achievement. It's called Ave Maria, and it's encounter her in the church. Ooh. Green? Green hair. Green lady. There was a girl standing in the chancel, framed by the stained glass window. Ethel couldn't see the girl's face, but she could see how slender her waist was, how shapely her calves. Oh? Calling the police meant you had to talk to people, but pushing the door in an unknown forest means you might see a lady in semi-trans. Okay, maybe... You know what? I take back what I said. If there's a chance of seeing a pretty lady in a semi-transparent dress, I think I might take that chance. Your friends get so annoyed because you'll wait outside for tens of minutes to be let in instead of just walking in. Yeah, okay, I do that too. If I'm told, they're like, hey, let's meet up at the restaurant, just go in and grab a table before the rest of us get there, I will not go in and grab that table. I will wait outside. I will sit on the ground outside like a lost puppy and wait for everyone else to arrive. And then they'll get there and they'll say, hey, did you get us a table? And I'll go, and then we go inside and the place is packed and I should have got us a table. Shapely calves, okay. The girl wasn't dressed for a downpour. She wasn't dressed for a British winter in general, the rain notwithstanding. Her clothes were simple, a summer dress cinched in the back with a ribbon. Her legs were bare. She wore no leggings nor any tights. It didn't even look like she was wearing socks. Instead, she wore a pair of sandals which had the slightest suggestion of a heel. The back of her feet were exposed, feet which were arched and raised a couple of centimeters above the floor. Oh, okay, so she's not British. The girl was only standing, but there was a curious grace to her even as she remained motionless, which made Ethel's heart ache. They should know better than to subject an introvert into securing a reservation. Exactly! Why would they send me into that wolf's den? I'm just a little moop. I can't do that. It's too much for me. Ethel had yet to see her face, but she didn't need to. Oh no, she does not. Not with that view from behind. Ethel already knew that this girl would be heartbreakingly beautiful. The girl wasn't even a little bit damp. Not like Ethel. She must have arrived at the church before the rain started. That, or she had the foresight to bring an umbrella with her. Why, Ethel wondered, hadn't she brought an umbrella too? She could have ducked back inside after Mr. Brown had warned her about the rain. Wouldn't that have been the sensible thing to do? Ethel hadn't wanted to do the sensible thing, however. She hadn't wanted to listen to Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown had been her teacher once, and she had wanted to prove herself that she wasn't a child anymore, that she no longer had to take his advice. How very wrong she was. Once more, her mother's cheerful chastigations returned to Ethel. Oh well, suit yourself. You are being daft, aren't you, though, Effie? Why was it that all the adults in her life seemed to know better than she did? Just the extra years of experience. They made the same mistakes too. Lauren had never been to university, and neither had Jude, but they were far more sensible. It's the Tylenol. Maybe it was because, no matter what Ethel liked to tell herself, she wasn't a real adult. She was still a child, a little girl playing pretend. But there was little sense standing there sadly, smelling the petrichor, slowly dribbling rainwater all over the uneven stone floor. The girl was not simply standing there, she was singing. Ethel recognized the song which tumbled from her lips. Pure and clear as spring water. She's singing Taylor Swift's Teardrops on My Guitar. It was Ave Maria. Oh fine, that too. Close enough. Ethel stood there, stunned in silence. The more the girl sang, the less the rest of the world seemed to matter. The steady pitter-patter of the rain fell away. It simply ceased to exist. For several moments, it was just Ethel and the girl's lovely, lyrical voice. Ethel stood there dumbly, letting the girl's voice wash over her when... Oh! Look at her face. She looks so trustworthy. She looks so trustworthy. Yeah, this is good. This is good stuff. Good stuff. My, what do we have here? Oh. Ethel jumped as the girl turned about, her bobbed hair fluttering. The girl was standing in such a way that the stained glass window at the back of the church framed her face perfectly. The positioning of it was so perfect, in fact, it looked like a shot from a movie. The girl, a trained actress, told precisely where to stand. The moonlight, which shone through the window, backlit the girl's short hair so it glowed, just like a dark inverted halo. The girl didn't look like any of the angels Ethel had seen pictured before, however. Not the romantic sort with golden locks with baby blues, nor the biblically accurate ones made of flickering flames with hundreds of vast staring eyes. Biblically accurate, Furby. The girl only had 2 eyes, which were positioned where they should have been, and framed with a sweep of dark lashes. Her nose was snub, and her lips curved upwards in a small smile. Her skin, meanwhile, was very white. Pasty. She's pasty. She didn't have wings, and neither did she wear a robe, though her pale green dress looked almost angelic. There was too much mischief in her smile for her countenance to be truly seraphic, but she still took Ethel's breath away. Hello, stranger. I've not seen you around before. Not that that's saying much, I guess. I don't know many people around here. Were you watching me? Ethel's face, which had always been a pinkish undertone, now turned red. She dropped her gaze to her feet and mumbled. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Oh, so you were watching me. Ethel gnawed on the damp, fleshy inside of her cheek. A few moments of silence passed. Silence which was filled with the steady pitter-patter of the rain outside, which fell on the grass and the dirt and all the tombstones. Ethel could feel her palms beginning to sweat. Slowly, like a mechanical doll in need of recalibrating, she nodded. You know, it's technically possible for me to just rephrase the word, but I have to go like blah, 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 to reset it in my brain. If I do not make an audible sound out loud, I cannot reset it. I cannot fix it. Like, as she took an entire minute to fantasize while she's just in front of her. Well, this girl's clearly an English literature major. She has to wax poetic whenever she sees a pretty girl. It's just how it happens. It's just how it happens. Before you can speak, you must write poems. I had thought so. I'm glad you're not a liar. I like honest girls. Girl? Ethel frowned. Manny had taken great offense about being called a boy the moment he started secondary school. He was in year 9 now, but his voice had dropped and he already had facial hair. Everyone was already calling him young man. Why then did Ethel have to be a girl when she was already 21? You kind of wondered whether this was written by a guy, but this is really... I think it's like a girl. I think Ebihime is a... I don't know. Well, the name Ebihime does sound feminine, but I don't actually know. I just think so. The author, the creator of this game has written some. This is Ebihime. Yeah. They got some Yuri. They got some BL. They got a lot of games. I think this is the newest one. It's only been a few weeks. But yes. The skull? The skull dead. She was too old for it, wasn't she? Oh man, she's over here being like, oh, I don't want to be called a girl. Well then, oh, Ethel, just you wait. You hope there's a happy ending? No, this is a toxic Yuri. I wasn't joking. It's toxic Yuri. It's not gonna have a happy ending. This is not gonna have a happy ending. I don't think so. Well, let's say, oh, Ethel, just you wait. You're gonna go to a store. You're gonna need a little pick-me-up, and you're gonna go to the ice cream stand. And you're gonna go get yourself. You're gonna go order. You're gonna order your usual. Hey, can I have a medium chocolate soft serve and a waffle cone? And then the girl serving your ice cream's gonna come out and say, "Okay, ma'am, you want anything else?" And you're gonna die on the inside because she just called you ma'am. So, you know what? Accept being called girl right now, okay? Accept being called girl. It's okay, because once you start being called ma'am, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. You sure changed your mind fast about whether she was an adult or not? Happy ending is very subjective, especially in a toxic romance. You're right. I hope they play some violin together. Oh, you don't like being called a girl? I didn't offend you, did I? Oh, no, it's fine. I don't mind. I will say I also don't like being. I will say I don't mind being called a girl, but I hate when people say "good girl." It's like, no, I'm an adult. Like, I helped someone with something at work not too long ago, and she called me a good girl, and I was like, oh no, please don't, please no, do not call me that. No, you can say thank you for helping me, but do not call me a good girl. That's gross. Not in like a. I just don't like being treated like a child. So I somewhat understand. Good ma'am? No, I would like to be referred to as a wonderful genius young lady who has saved my life by teaching me how to print something. Hello, Kelly. Hello, Raiders. Welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome. Hey, did you guys know? Hey, did you guys know? Hey, did you guys know that playing violin is a form of self pleasuring, playing violin, and that classical music is the music of the Gooners. But welcome everybody. How was your stream? I'm playing a Toxic Yuri game. Huh? Don't worry about it. Okami? Oh god. Very different games. Very different games. Okami's very Pardon, I'm so sorry. It's not my fault. Is this what the main character? Maybe I reworded it. Maybe I reworded it a little bit. But the main character made certain metaphors using playing violin and selfishness. Hey, Pets, thank you. Starts a conversation like that. I don't know. I don't know what I'd say. A lot of old songs are written about women calling them gooner songs. Is it accurate? You see, Suno. Welcome, Suno. Wait, Suno, you would be the perfect person to ask. I know you're streaming, but I'm gonna give you a shout out. Suno, you would actually be the perfect person to consult on this. Suno, in your musical expertise, would you agree with this statement? Would you agree that classical music is the music for gooners? Because this main character here, she said playing the violin was like a form of self-indulgent pleasure time, and so was participating in her interests of classical music. So that makes me, the next step in the line would say that is that classical music is gooner music. Also, what are your thoughts on Mozart? Are you a fan of Mozart's? Wait, where is it? His, hold on. What was it? Are you a fan of Mozart's, Kiss My Ass song? But hello everybody, let me introduce myself. My name's Scarlet Gems, also known as Moop, and I'm playing Her Love Like Poison, which is a Toxic Yuri visual novel, and it's very... It hasn't gone too spicy yet, but it's definitely for adults. But Classical composers tend to have written their compositions as a way of showing off and completely raising up everybody. Exactly! It is! That was... Okay, see, Suno, you got what I was saying earlier. You know. Mozart was... Yeah. It's exactly the point. He was a little bit of a playboy. A little bit, yeah. Extra unhinged tonight? I don't know what you're talking about. I've been wanting to play this game for so long. I'm very excited that I'm playing it, okay? You thought that sleazy nightclub sound would be Gooner music? You know, all the sax and violence? Oh, Seabat. Seabat? No, we don't need Seabat around here. We need Mozart's violin. What was it? 21st violin. Whatever. That one. The one in E minor. The one he wrote in E minor. That one. That's the Gooner song. The Dead Mother violin song. That's the one. Classical Gooner? No, comical goons. It's like mafia bosses playing classic music as they snap their fingers and walk down the street and gun people down with their Tommy guns. I think that's how it works. What a conversation to raid into. Watch Amadeus? Oh, I have watched Amadeus. I was telling the story of when I was in my music history class. We watched Amadeus when I was in high school. And my teacher thought he had the censored version of it. He did not have the censored version of it. And I have never seen a teacher move so fast to try to run and cover up the TV screen. It was not fast enough. My teacher, the band teacher, all accidentally showed the whole class titties. And it was great. He was so confident. He even said before the movie, he was like, yeah, I have the right one. I have the right one. It was the right case. It was the right case, but there was the wrong disc inside of the case. Yeah. One time at band, it was just music history class. So it was a smaller class than the full band class, but it was the band. It was the band classroom. It was very... It was interesting. He had been sitting back. He was like sitting back, leaning in the chair, hand in his head, like behind his head. It was hilarious. Goonology 101. I am the King Gooner. King Gooner. Leader of all the mafia goons as he break people's kneecaps and then trap them in a barrel and pour it with cement and throw them to the bottom of the sea so they swim with the fishes. That kind of gooning. Those band teachers are unhinged. Yeah. They sure are something. He did not, in fact, have the right one. Nope. Afterwards, he was just kind of like, I'm so sorry, guys. Most of you are seniors, so it's probably nothing new. Please don't get your parents to yell at me. Please, I don't want to get fired. Anyway, so I'm playing this game, Her Love Like Poison. Played about 2 hours. I feel like I'm about halfway there. And I believe we are about to meet, or we just met this beautiful lady who may or may not be human. She looks human so far. But judging by the description of the game, who knows? Oh, why is my cat running in here? Why did he zoom in here? Hi, what are you doing? He just zoomed in up here. Won't jump up though. Okay. So we just met Pretty Lady. Stream time does not accurately represent game time. Yeah, I think Steam says it's like 2 hours to play, but that means nothing if you're reading it. I have a cat in my hands. Come here. Hi. Meow into the microphone. Can you meow for us? Can you do a little meow? You don't want to do a little meow. Oh, okay. He's zooming. He just zoomed back down the stairs. Full force. Hello, Mew. Alright, so she called her. She was like, oh, are you a girl? And she was like, Yeah, but I don't like being called girl because I'm an adult. And then the lady's like, oh, sorry, did I offend you? And now Ethel's just like, oh no, it's fine. I don't mind. Oh, he's meowing downstairs now. Jeez. I mean, I probably offended you more with my staring. I'm so sorry. You're a beautiful lady wearing a transparent dress. I can't help but stare. I should have said something. I'm sorry. Aw, you don't need to apologize, silly. I don't mind. Also, guys, fair warning. This game's set in England. These people, they speak British English. They say some strange things sometimes. And I have no idea. I read the sentence and I know the individual words, but the sentence, I don't get it, but it's fine. It's fine, I guess. Like squatty. You don't? The girl shook her head. I was only teasing. It might be rude to eavesdrop, but I prefer singing when I have a captive audience. Otherwise, it feels a bit pointless. Captive? Is captive a key word here? Because, Toxicuri? Toxicuri, please? So, what did you think? About what? About my singing, obviously. Was it good? Great. The best thing you've ever heard? You're a willing audience during Moop Karaoke? Watch where I point the mushroom mouse? I don't know what you mean. What is the word? It starts with a P, right? Apple pie? You were enchanting. Enchanting, huh? It's a bit more flowery than I was expecting. Do you like reading by any chance? I study English literature at university, so I guess. I knew it! You give me that impression, huh? Oh, you just knew she was a nerd. You just looked at her, you're like, alright, those freckles, the adorable, adorable face, those two big braids, nerd. The girl took a seat upon the pew, then shot Ethel a look which could only be described as, come hither. Then, with a thin, half-moon smile, she patted the pew, her pale hand cleaving through the darkness. Why don't you come here and talk with me? I feel like it's been an age since I last had a chat with a girl my age, and I'm dying for it. Upon the pew? You can't see it, but I've got my hands in prayer symbols. Oh, I think we're about to sin here. I think it's okay, though. I think it's okay. Oxbury is so boring. The Riz game. Yeah. It's gonna be Riz. It's not gonna be... This isn't actually gonna be a horror game. It's not... It's gonna be fine. Ethel hung back, ashamed, abashed, almost afraid at the girl's insistencies. This is gonna lead to hand-holding. Very healthy, wholesome hand-holding. Definitely no life-threatening circumstances or mushrooms. Why was this girl so interested in her? There definitely hasn't been multiple cases of girls going missing in this town. Specifically, girls going missing near the woods that Ethel was just walking through. If God made everything and can do no evil, then clearly Yuri is valid. Exactly! The best rom-coms are horror stories in secret. Also very true. Yeah, right. Horror and romance. We talked about this the other night with some of those other games, with especially the Taisho romance theater. Horror and fear is very similar to love, you know? Very similar situations with the way your brain goes crazy. Just wonderful parallels. Why was this girl so interested in her? She wasn't anything special. It seemed ludicrous. unthinkable even that she should even care. I know why she cares. This girl must have really been bored. Was Ethel her last resort? A last-ditch attempt to keep herself amused? Hello? The girl cocked her head to one side, her smile an amused, impish one. Didn't you hear me? I would have thought the rain would have washed those ears of yours out. Won't you come and sit with me? I can hardly have a conversation with you from all the way across the church. I mean, if it's a well-built church, it'll have really good acoustics, so we could. Unless you're afraid that I might bite. In Japan, Mario was called Doki Doki Literature Cup. Ethel allowed herself to think, briefly, of the girl's bite. Of sharp incisors digging into her throat, like something from a gothic novel, and she shivered. Are we talking in, like, the... What sense are we talking here? Is this a good shiver? Or Ethel, is that what you're into? She wasn't sure if she wholly disliked the thought, and this left her feeling unsettled. No, I'm fine. I'm not afraid. I'll sit. Camilla, the original vampire? Camilla from Fake Grand Order? World history and classic literature has been ruined to me because of Fake Grand Order. You heard Camilla? Yeah. You know, from Fake Grand Order, not the original vampire novel. No one cares about... She is very hot in Fake Grand Order. She is. I agree. I do agree. At first, I was like, oh, I don't care that much. And then she took her mask off, and I was like, oh, who is this beautiful lady? Ethel crossed the church, her soul slapping against the flagstones. Thud, thud, thud. Then she sat down. Awooga, exactly. She was still damp, and droplets of water slid from her clothes as she walked. Small puddles tracked her progress from the entrance of the church, with its domed door, all the way to the pew where she settled herself. Ethel's long skirt was clinging to her thighs, and her sweater was uncomfortably damp. Ethel tended to wear baggy, oversized clothes, but the rainwater had rendered them uncomfortably skin-tight. She would have felt self-conscious regardless, but being seen in a state by anybody, even Mr. Brown, but being perceived by a girl as pretty as whatever her name was, she looked like she could have been a Celeste or even a Celine. Wasn't doing her self-esteem any problem. She's already coming up with names for the girl. She's like, damn, she's so pretty. I feel like she could be like a Celeste, right? Like a Celeste. Instead of saying like, hey, what's your name? She's just making up names. She's writing her own headcanons. She's headcanoning this girl already. You can't be a real anime fan and not simultaneously have tons of anime girls in your head in actual historical figures. So true! Rather accurate literature club person. Fantasizing 1,000 situation and most... Fantasizing all my fanfics. My self-insert fanfics. Wetly, Ethel looked down at her lap, and wanly, she threaded her fingers together. So... she sat, just as the girl had asked her. Now what? My, you're quite the awkward one, aren't you? You're quite the awkward one. You've barely said more than a word to me since seeing me. Please, don't tell me you're really afraid of me. What? No. I'm just shy. I'm sorry. You haven't done anything wrong. This is all my fault. The girl frowned, one hand resting on her chin. You say it's your fault, but I don't think you've done anything wrong either. You don't? No, I don't. In fact, I don't see why you feel the need to apologize. I'm not upset. I was just stating a fact. You're so quiet. I was wondering if I'd done something to upset you. But I guess that's just the way you are. I've never been really good at small talk. I never really know what to say, so... I'm sorry? I must be so boring. Oh, I'll be the judge of that. I haven't known you long enough to find you boring. And I wouldn't have started talking to you in the first place if you hadn't piqued my interest. Did you also see the appeal of the two big braids? And the freckles? You don't think I'm a poor judge of character, do you? In this case, maybe she was. But Ethel was so afraid of offending the girl. Even inadvertently, she hastily said, I don't think so, but it's hard to say. I mean, I don't know you very well. You raise a good point. We are strangers, and this has been a pretty strange meeting. I wouldn't be surprised if you're wondering who this crazy girl is, who's been singing by herself in the church at night. I must seem like a total nutter, haha. I mean, kinda, yeah, normal people don't usually, like, sneak into the church late at night and sing, but whatever. I don't know if I'd say that. You probably wouldn't know. I think you're too considerate. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what you're thinking, though. Well, go on. You can be honest with me. He must think I'm barmy. Barmy. Fine, barmy. You must think I'm barmy. I don't know if I call you that, but it is a bit strange, I suppose. Oh, come on, you're being too generous. I know I'm more than a bit strange. Your hobbies might be a bit unusual, I guess. Barmy Moop. Barmy Moop. No longer Lazy Moop. I'm now Barmy Moop. I'm rebranding. You don't think I'm a bad judge? Are we being gaslit? I hope so. She's making it seem like she's normal by saying, "Hey, I'm a little weirdo," and then we have to go, "Oh wait, no, you're normal." And then she goes, "Oh yeah, wait, this ball on top of her head here looks like a heart. Do you see that? It looks like a heart. It's cute." Again with the tact. You'd make a good politician. But who am I to judge? I went for a walk in the woods late at night when I knew it was gonna rain. I'm not much better. I guess not. Maybe that's what us together then. I'm so bad at speaking, I just slur all my words together. What? The rain? No, silly. I think there's a deeper meaning behind our meeting than this. Dinner. The meaning? Dinner. Deeper? That's what she said. Yeah, must be like two alike souls, or maybe two birds of a feather, if that doesn't sound too out there. We're both weirdos, so we gotta stick together. This world isn't accepting of people like us. Let's run away together. What's your name? Surely you have one. Oh, I'm Ethel. Ethel's voice was quiet when she replied, as if she was repeating a curse word. And to her ears, it might have well been one. As far as names went, Ethel wasn't very flattering. It was old-fashioned, and it spoke more of elderly spinsters than it did 21-year-olds. Shania had teased Ethel about her name incessantly, though. As if she hadn't been the one named after the country. She really was named after the country singer! I joked earlier as like, oh shit, Shania Twain? No, it was. Okay. Ethel would have preferred to be a Shania any day of the week over a boring old Ethel, though. I would prefer Ethel. Actually, when her mom calls her Effie is such a cute nickname. I really like Effie. If Ethel had to be my full name for me to get the nickname Effie, I'd be okay. I'd be okay with that. Spondon, yo, what's up? How's it going? Do you like classical music? Ethel often resented her parents for landing her with that name, though it was mostly Lauren's fault. She supposed for naming her after her grandmother, Ethel's great-grandmother, especially when her brothers had suitably modern names. My mom almost named me a very old lady name, and I'm very glad it's not my name. I'm very glad. Thankfully, my dad had sense, and my dad was like, no, that's an old lady name. So then I got a normal name. It was nice. It wasn't even an old lady name that was like named after anyone in particular. It was just an old lady name because my mom has bad taste. Why was the only one stuck with a name plucked straight from the dusty archives of a Victorian poorhouse? Why was she the only one? You're cursed from birth. This isn't a no chases, so I'm just saving. Yeah? Good for you. Good for you. Classical music's pretty good. It was so unfair. The girl didn't seem to mind Ethel's name, however, because she laughed. Ethel, how pretty! No, it isn't. You're teasing me. No, I'm not. Honest to God. We're in a church, and I'd never dare to take the Lord's name in vain. I'm a good Christian like that, you know. You are? No. Now I really am pulling your leg. Right. Well, I suspected it as much. You shouldn't be so self-conscious, though. Ethel's a perfectly nice name. I've met girls who were saddled with much, much worse. Move reaches for under the cubicle, box lunch in hand. Could you reach in a little further, sister cubicle partner? That's what she said. Move proudly returns with her chin up. That's what she said. Another. Can I? I'll write that on a sticky note. Okay, I have a notebook here. Stallmates. Stallmates. That's what she said. She said. I'll make sure to put that in. One day when I write this story. No, she has legs. She does have legs. She's just missing feet. British... No, is it just the English? Just the English. Like the others have feet. Just English people don't have feet. They do have legs, though. They kind of end at like little stumps, I think. A Victorian poorhouse? Victoria Housekeeping from ZZZ? Like the game? Right, well, try telling that to Shania. Who's Shania? Oh, nobody. She doesn't matter. Not anymore. You wouldn't know her. Ethel's voice trailed off, then she frowned. By the way, where are you from? You aren't a local, are you? Ethel's internal monologue feels familiar. I know, right? She's too relatable. Oh, no, and thank God I don't believe in for it. Thank the God I don't believe in for it. What'd she say? You're not a local? Yeah. This village is so small. I think I'd go mad. Madder than I already am. I mean, if I had to live here. Are you visiting then? That's right. I'm here to stay with my grandparents over the holiday. My parents are pretty busy right now, so they dumped me here. Stretch! I can do that. To the right? Yeah, this is the right. To the left. Up. A nice stretch every now and then's pretty good. What's this girl's name? That was the backstory of the girl that went missing, right? That she'd been staying with, like, her grandparents or something? I guess that's a pretty common thing. I've only been here a couple days, but I'm already bored out of my tree. I couldn't sleep, so I went for a walk. Figured I might as well stretch my legs. I was afraid I'd go stir crazy otherwise. But maybe it's too late for that already. I see. Will you be staying in Oxbury for long? Not too long. My parents will be picking me up in a few days. Oh, right. Of course. Ethel tried to keep the disappointment from her voice when she spoke. Why would she care when the girl went home? She hardly knew her. She still didn't know her name, in fact. Maybe Ethel thought, worriedly, she should have asked the girl that first, before inquiring if she was local to the area. The classic, oh shit, I should have asked this. That would have been the polite thing to do. But Ethel spoke to others so rarely, she found it difficult to know what the polite thing to do was. Sometimes I talk to people and I go so long, and I realize I don't know their name, and then I feel awkward asking them their name now. So it's like, hey, I've known you several days now, and I've talked to you so many times. What's your name? But, I don't have the guts to say that. Is bored out of her tree a normal saying, or something Ethel did not catch? Do you think... Well, mushrooms can grow on trees, right? She was so awkward. Well, there was time enough to right this oversight. I'm sorry, it just occurred to me what... I might not have been born here, but I am pretty familiar with the village. I know my way around rather well, which is how I wound up here. She spent so long thinking about it, she lost her chance to ask. She lost her chance to ask. No. You just wait for someone to call out to them any moment so you really... Oh, no, yes, actually. Or, okay, so I have to teach classes sometimes at my work, and people will come in, and I won't know their name. I will not know their name, and then at the end of the class, I have to look at the sign-in sheet, because I have a sign-in sheet, and then I do, like, a process of elimination. It's like, okay, well, that name probably is not this person, probably not this person. They don't look like a Bob, you know? And then I have to figure out their name that way, because I get through this entire class, and I realize I never asked anyone to tell me what their name was. Sometimes I realize I forgot to introduce myself. I teach a class, no one knows my name, I don't know their names. Moop is no better than a man, but in a different way this time. Your one friend didn't know your last name for years. What do you mean? What do you mean by this time? Not that that's saying much, since there isn't all that much know, but you know what I mean. Right. Ethel blinked. Her plans to ask for the girl's name summarily scuppered. Scuppered. There was a small pause, then... Do you come to Oxbury very often? More often than I'd like. This place is pretty dead, but oh well. I wind up in Oxbury a lot during the holidays, since my parents are always palming me off to my grandparents. I spend a lot of summers here, and a lot of my winters too. Ugh. The summers here are depressing enough, since there's nothing to do, but the winters are even worse. It's so cold and so dark, and it's so wet too. It rains so much, the ground gets all mulchy. It's pretty miserable. No offense. I don't want to insult this place too much. Not when you were born here. Not when you were born here. Hope you don't mind. It's fine. I'm not offended. Actually, I agree with you. When did they start kissing? Oh, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one. It's a different story with my grandparents, though. They love this place. They've been living here for... God, I don't know. Their whole lives? More or less. They're pretty settled. They won't hear a bad word about Oxbury. They're obsessed. They were old, you know, when I was a kid. But they're even older now, if you can credit that. How did she know Ethel was born here? Ooh, good point. Maybe she assumed it. Huh. I think that's why they like Oxbury. It doesn't change, just like them. It's completely static. Maybe she's known Ethel. Ethel frowned, lost in contemplation. The girl's voice was light, but there was something sad about her words. Something which twisted Ethel's insides. When people reach their twilight years, Typically, when they passed into their 80s, it became impossible to discern their age from their appearance. There wasn't that much difference, or so Ethel had always thought, between an 80 and a 90-year-old. Old age had an anonymizing factor. It stripped the individuality out of people, rendering them indistinguishable from one another. She clearly hasn't spent enough of her time. She has not spent enough time around old people, I think. When do they start kissing? Based on this dynamic, she had not been topping her this whole time. I need them to kiss now. I need them to play sweet, sweet classical music together. As far as Ethel was concerned, old people were all white-haired and rheumy-eyed, their faces scoured with wrinkles. That's so mean. They're people too! Their fingers were choppy, their hands shook, and they complained of myriad problems. Bad back, bad eyes, bad hearts, bad bladders. Old people talk way too much about their bathroom trips. Ethel didn't like the body she inhabited at the present. She'd been teased over her appearance one too many times, but she liked the thought of getting older even less. She didn't think she'd ever wanted to be 50, much less 80 or 90. She's just a baby. She's just a 21-year-old baby. She don't know no better. She liked life too little to try and cling on to it for that long. What was the point? My parents have been having my grandparents look after me since I was a kid, but I don't think they've ever been cut out for the job. They could just never keep up with me. I was a wee thing back then, about this tall. The girl gestured with her right hand for emphasis. But even then, I get this feeling I was no good for my poor old grandparents. I used to fret having to run around after... Oh, I see now. I used to fret having to run around after me would drive them into their early graves. But it's been years since then, and they're both alive and kicking. But not literally. They're so old, I don't think they're capable of it. Are you afraid they might dislocate their hips if they did? I've gotta say, I didn't expect that from you. You're more fiery than you look. Oh, I hope you don't mind. I'm so sorry, I made a really basic joke. Oh, I did not mean to offend you with my humor. Please do not mind me. Me, little old Ethel. Nah, I think it's funny. I like the contrast of your sweet exterior and your spicy interior. It was a surprise, but a pleasant one. I don't know what about that was spicy, but okay. If that's what you think spicy, then I'm a goose pepper or something. Don't know if I'm particularly spicy, but thank you. You're welcome. I hope you're not getting the wrong idea, though. I mean, I know I'm being mean about my grandparents, but I do love them. They're the only grandparents I have, and I owe them a lot. She's doing the bochi melting into a little pile lesbian jello thing. Yeah, she is. Oh, I love it. They're dear to me. But I had to spend a lot of time with them in this porky little village, and I think it does get stifling. Someday, I'd like to take off, see a bit more of the world. It's all very constricting. What about your parents? Where do they live? Oh, some tiny town not too far away from here. And they've never taken you on a holiday with them before? They have never bothered. Wherever they go, whenever they go anywhere, I've always been dumped here with my old folks. And let me tell you, they really are old. How old? I'm not even sure if they're pushing 90. Maybe even 100. 100? Ethel stared, all the while trying to solve some basic mental maths. Ethel's grandparents on her mother's side were relatively young as far as grandparents went. But as they'd had her mother when they were in their early 20s. Oh wow. Because her mom had her at 21, and then her parents had them in the early 20s. Young. Her maternal grandmother was only 62. Her maternal grandfather, 66. barely retirement age. Her paternal grandparents were a bit older, both in their mid-70s, but they weren't pushing into their 80s yet, and they definitely weren't close to 100. This girl's family must be skewed awfully old. Ethel was still trying to work this out, something the girl seemed to notice because she smiled. I'm exaggerating, of course. Oh, right, of course. Taking things literally. I'm not joking when I say they're old, though. I don't like being with them in their rank-smelling house, which is all green and brown and damp. Mushroom home? The walls have rot and it's moist all year round, so the window panes are all waterlogged. It's awful. I wouldn't stay there if I had a choice. And I don't really have any friends, and my family's pretty small, so... The girl shrugged. I guess it could be worse, but I don't like having to spend all my holidays out in this dump. I wish my parents would think about me some more, but that's never gonna happen. You just meet this girl in the church and you start... Is she airing out all her baggage already? They've always been so selfish. The girl sighed. She sounded bitter. Unexpectedly so, given how lightly she'd spoken before. It was obvious that a degree of resentment simmered through her seemingly irreverent surface. Resentment which didn't seem to be buried all that deeply. Well, if she had inner demons, she wouldn't be the only one. Oh? She was only human. Oh? Oh? The girl suddenly gasped, wide-eyed as she stared at Ethel. Where are my manners? I spent all this time talking about myself, but I've not asked about you. You were... Oh, she's confirming it. You were born in Oxbury, weren't you? Oh, yes, that's right. And you still live here, I'm guessing? With my parents and 2 brothers. Yeah, Rowan and Manny. Ah, I see. I don't have any siblings myself. No sisters or brothers. I've always wondered what it'd be like, though. It's... alright, I guess. You don't sound too sure. Well, it's hard for me to say what it's like. I've had brothers for most of my life. Rowan was born when I was 4, and Manny when I was 7. So I can't really remember what life was like before they arrived. I see. That sounds kind of nice. If I had a sibling or 2 to keep me company, maybe spending all the time with my grandparents wouldn't have been so bad. But who knows? Maybe they just annoy me. I don't know if I'd like to share my stuff with them either. I can be pretty selfish. The girl's eyes glinted when she said this, with a spark of mischief, which made Ethel's skin prick. I love this smile. This crooked smile as she looks to the side, confidently. Oh yeah. There was something a little unsettling about the way she looked at Ethel. Her eyes were intense, as though she meant to devour Ethel from tip to toe. Please do. But surely that was nothing more than a fancy. No, I hope it is. So, where's your family right now, Ethel? Are they back home? Waiting for you? Eh? I hope they're not worried about you. It is pretty late. I wouldn't want to make them anxious. Hey, your parents home? Can I come over? Oh, no. It's fine. They won't be waiting. I mean, they're not even home. They've gone to Australia. Australia? Oh, that's so far away. I've never been there before. But is it true that their seasons are all mixed up compared to ours? They're reversed, yeah. Their winter's like our summer. It's something to do with the hemispheres. Crazy! I'm so used to wet, damp old Oxbury. I think it would take some time getting used to that, huh? That's what I thought too. I was worried going there would throw me off, especially when it's been so cold here. Is that why you didn't want to go then? Did you turn down their invitation? Or did they not invite you? Oh, they did, yeah. My ticket was booked and everything. Mom had been planning it for a few months, ever since April. Your parents bought you plane tickets and stuff for Australia? I hope they were able to return that easily enough. As someone who's used to yapping to dodge important questions, never mistake common emotional grievances for actual secrecies. Right? Right? It came out too easy. She was pretty insistent that I accompany her. It was supposed to be a family holiday, but... well... Ethel sighed. How she wondered was she supposed to explain her reasoning for staying behind to this girl. She wasn't entirely sure if she understood the reasoning herself. She had overcomplicated things by being so moody. But wasn't that what she always did? She was forever making things more difficult. Not that she wanted to. It just seemed to happen. She easily broke kidnapping rule number 1. Don't tell people that no one's gonna be at home. Hey Ethel, you didn't have an argument with your family, did you? Oh, no, it's nothing like that. We're fine, really. Everything's fine. Then why didn't you want to go? I'd leave England at the drop of a hat if I could. It's so cold and wet and... ugh. I can't stand it here. It's so gloomy. Australia sounds much nicer. It does sound nicer, but... But? The girl shifted a little closer to Ethel. So much so that their thighs brushed. Their thighs are touching! Sorry, I got really excited. Don't you like being with your family? Don't you get on with them? Well, it's not that I don't want to get... It's not that I don't get on with my parents. They're nice enough, I think. My mom nags me about my clothes, my hair sometimes, and my dad can be a bit... insensitive, maybe? Ethel thought back on the numerous occasions she tried to practice her violin at home. Occasions which had been swiftly terminated by her dad telling her to put a cork in it. Because he was trying to watch the telly. But they're not bad parents. They're not abusive. Other people have it so much worse. It'd be unfair for me to complain. Ugh, God, that line. I feel that deep in my soul. And yet, despite that, you still didn't want to go on holiday with them? It's not like that. What is it like then? What's my fault, really? They haven't done anything wrong. It's all me. What's all you? I don't understand. It's not that complicated, really. It's just, it's the way I think about things. My parents are fine. They're lovely even, and my brothers. Well, we argue sometimes, but I think that's normal. All siblings argue. Clementine always picks fights with her sisters, too. Clementine? My girlfriend Ethel was about to say, but that would have been a lie. Clementine wasn't her girlfriend anymore. They'd spoken so little after their breakup, Ethel wasn't certain whether she was even her friend. What was Clementine to her now? An ex? Was she anything to her now? She's just a person I know from university. We talked a bit. Ah, a friend then. We were friends. I don't know about now. Not that it matters. None of it does, really. What does matter? My feelings, maybe? I've been a bit down, I guess. I couldn't tell. But it's all very silly, and it's mostly self-inflicted anyway. I just get like this, in strange moods, I mean. That's what my mom says. She thinks I should buck my ideas up. Maybe she's right. It's not like I want to feel sad. No, of course you don't. I don't think anybody does. But sometimes, no, most of the time actually, I feel like a burden. I just bother my parents and my brothers. And Clementine too. That's why I didn't want to go on holiday with them. They insisted, but I don't know. They said the holiday wouldn't be the same without me, which is probably right. But I think it'd be better for me not to be there. I'd have been so gloomy. I don't think they'd want to put up with me. My parents were planning this holiday for ages. They were looking forward to it. That's why I didn't want to come along. I know I'm not in the right mood to enjoy it. It'd make everyone unhappy, and then I'd spoil everything. I think. Ethel's fingers, laying on her lap, curled in on themselves. Her nails, which were short and serrated, she'd been biting them lately, though it was a habit she'd tried to kick for years, digging into her palms. Her shoulders shook. Is this hand-holding time? Check in! Then, very quietly, she said, I think they'd be happier without me. That's exactly the best thing to say to any serial killer! I mean, serial fungus monster. I don't know what's gonna happen next. Howdy! And that's a death flag. Yeah, it is. Wait, Beth. Think they'd be happier without me. Clementine certainly had been. Who was to say that her family wouldn't share her opinion? I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said all of that. I was being silly, really. I know my family does care. Obviously they do, it's just sometimes— Wait. Hold on. It's midnight 30 and I need to go to bed. And I feel like this is a good stopping point. For now. Wait, she started her— This is where— I feel like this is where things are gonna start going downhill real fast. So I'm gonna save here. Yeah. The first night you're living. Yeah, this is gonna be a— Thank you for the follow! This is a— I feel like this is a good spot, because I know if I keep going, I'm not gonna be able to stop. So I'm gonna save here, and I'll finish this soon. I want to finish it now, but I have to get up so early in the morning. Ugh! And then we can get to the actual spicy death horror stuff. Looking forward to that. So save one more time. Save. Return. Title. Yes. Hey, that's her. That's our girl. With her mushrooms on her. Have a good night. Thank you. Let me go back over here for now. Oh, I was a little soon. That's okay. Do I still have the game? Oh yeah, I still have the Steam page is in fact pinned at the top here. So if anyone else is interested in this game. Also, it's on sale. It's only $6.29, so do it. 50,000 words of text. How many words have I read today? I didn't have my word counter up. Linear story with one ending, original character and background art, original soundtrack, dark lesbian romance, mild body horror, creepy unsettling atmosphere. Creepy unsettling atmosphere. I'm so distracted by the cute girls that nothing feels creepy or unsettling to me. Isn't that crazy? I can't wait to get to where they kiss. Alright, that's for next time. That's for another night. Maybe Friday, I don't know, I'll figure it out. Let's see who's online to raid though. I really like this game so far. I wish to play more. Why do adults have to have like why do adults have to have jobs and have to wake up early in the morning? Hate that. Hate that for me. Hate that for me. Maybe if I got home earlier, I could have started and played it all in one go, but no. Alright, so whomst do I wanna read? She's asking all the casual kidnapping questions, and watching this girl self-loathe her way into not noticing is definitely... No, this happens all the time. It's fine. I think I've just been playing too many horror games. You know what? If red flag, why pretty? Answer me that one, right? If red flag, if dangerous, if scary, if unsettling, why pretty? Yeah. 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 I totally wouldn't be misled by a pretty face. No, I would not. Never, 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 never. Alright, who's online? Actually, there's a lot of people online. Alright, I don't know what game this person's playing, but I'm gonna raid Magical Momoka because it looks like she's playing some sort of visual novel, and I saw vampires. I saw vampires and visual novel, and they're very pretty vampire boys. So I feel like that's the kind of thing I want to go into right now. It's not listed. It just says games and demos. I'm assuming this is a demo for a game that's just coming out now. I need to go. I need to see. I need to check this out. I need to check this out. The moral strain just makes it better. You're so right. You're so right. You need a little spice. Oh yeah, here's the raid. Thank you, Mew. Oh wait. Oh gosh. Oh man. Me copy my own thing. There's that. There's that raid call. I still need to update it with the new emotes. So there's also the raid symbols here. Also, I believe you can redeem a channel point redeem for the remote emotes, not the remote. You do not get the TV remote. You just get the Twitch emotes for like a day or something like that. Something like that. No? Well, I'm sorry, but I have to sleep. I'll come back another day. I'll finish the game at another time. Don't worry. Oh! I bought I checked it out. I had enough gift cards, so I bought the new Silent Hill game. So I'm gonna be starting that soon. I'm really excited to play that. I'm so excited to play that actually. So that's a upcoming Halloween Moopoween game. All right, this countdown's going down, so I have to go now. So goodbye. Goodbye. Classical music is for Gooners. Yeah.